All right, looks like we are live. Let me just angle this a little bit more. All right, before I actually do any gameplay, let me just pull up the stream on my phone since I don't have a second screen. Okay, I have the YouTube chat ready. Let me pull up the Twitch chat as well. Okay, let's see if I can. Let me do this. Maybe, maybe not. All right, that's going to be good enough, I think. Okay. All right. Sorry I was late. I got caught up with dinner. So dinner in Denmark is actually very different from dinner in the US. Let me swap over to the Divinity screen here, just so you're not just staring at OBS or anything like that. But yeah, so dinner in Denmark is quite different, like in a restaurant, like in the US. So like in the US, dinner is kind of like you go to a restaurant, they seat you, you order, you get food, and all that stuff. And at the end there, towards the end, they're kind of like, here's your check, kind of just kind of like a subtle, like, we need you to go so we can free up the table. But in Denmark, it's just kind of like, look, you're here just to like eat food and enjoy the night. So we're just gonna leave you at it. And you guys, you can ask for the check whenever, but like the first time we were out, this was my PI and my lab mate. We went to dinner and it was like 3 or 4 hours, and like all three of us were like looking at our the other investigator, and we were like, is this normal? Like, do they want us out or anything? And she was like, no, this is completely normal to have like a 3 or 4 hour long dinner starting at like 6 going until 10. Because like the whole point, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, is Hyge, I think is how it's pronounced. It's Hygge, and the idea is it translates, I think, to like warmth or something. And so that's kind of the premise behind a lot of the Danish philosophy and how they live life. It's just kind of like be relaxed and things like that.
Hey, you.
So yeah, for those of you guys who
Go on. Show me your.
so just for those of you guys who aren't aware or are wondering why I'm playing this, so we recently hit 3,000 subs, which is a pretty big milestone in my opinion. So I figured I'd kind of open up a little bit behind the screen a little bit so you guys can ask questions about me, about ESO, about what's going on in my life, other things like that. And of course, there are a few guidelines that I have down in the description on the YouTube page. I don't think I have it on the Twitch page, but basically the idea is don't pry too much into my personal life, and try to keep politics out. Obviously, the personal life is pretty self-explanatory. Just kind of respect privacy and everything. But the politics thing is mostly because I don't want like the channel to become the chat to just become a you versus me kind of thing. So keeping politics out is probably the best way to avoid that, especially because I'm not based in the US right now, but I am an American, so politics kind of is ingrained in all of our lives. So we just kind of want to avoid that a little bit there. So unfortunately, I don't think. Let me see if. Okay. I don't think I can actually see how many people are watching the stream right now, but yeah, so I can only see the chat right now on both YouTube and Twitch, so I can't really see how many people are watching. I know it's kind of mid-afternoon right now for a lot of people. I have not played Guild Wars 2 before, so Guild War 2 I know is one of the big MMOs, and still is. I think it's still going on now. I know a couple people have been playing it, but I don't play any of the MMOs. I used to play RuneScape 3, but I quit about 2 or 3 years ago when I saw the shift towards microtransactions versus actual content. So I don't really play any of the MMOs.
Still opening that mouth of yours.
In terms of like how I feel that ESO like is going, like For PvP, I have no clue because I don't really PvP. But for PvE, I know
Just stop. No one
there's a couple of things that they do that I think they need to address. I think, and they've done a decent job, like trying to address those concerns and those pain points. But like the class notes that they posted on the official forums, if you guys haven't read that yet, the class rep notes are up on the official forums. I think it's under like the combat and something mechanics discussion or something like that. But some of the comments that they made there, like dual wield is so strong because they have blade cloak. Like that is about 2 or 3 patches in the past. So there clearly is a disconnect between the devs and the actual players, and I'm not 100% certain where that disconnect is coming from. Like, I don't know if the devs actually play their game or they just kind of like, whatever. But yeah, there are definitely a couple things in PvE that they're doing that are kind of annoying. And I can definitely see why people are starting to get a little bit annoyed with ZeniMax. I wouldn't be terribly surprised, actually.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
An illusion.
Life's a dream.
This fellow must be quite proud of himself.
This is an illusion. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand there. Yeah, ending game content is kind of grindy. I will not lie about that. So I have played Divinity before. I've beaten the game once, and I've gotten back into it because I kind of want to go through everybody else's origin stories. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do here.
Clever.
Ah, okay. I also don't know what level this section of the game is at, so I might actually be under-leveled, as we'll find out with the first, when we fight against the first set of enemies. Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know what Divinity Original Sin 2 is, it's basically a series of game Divinity, are produced by Larian Studios. Basically like RPGs, open world, not necessarily open world RPGs, but they're all kind of RPGs. And
Didn't I tell you to leave?
oh, he's level 5, and I think I'm level 6. Actually, I think I'm okay in terms of the levels.
You can't teach a fool anything.
Or I guess we'll find out now. We're in combat. Oh, this ain't good. Okay, yeah, so they are all level 5, so I should be able to beat this pretty easily. I'm level 6 right now. Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, Divinity is RPG. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. What do I want to do here? Can I hit you? No, I can't. And so you basically play as, you can make your own custom character, or you can I can do this, or you can play as like a character that's already in the game. Like they're called origin characters because they originate in the game. And so that's kind of one thing there. The original Sin series, so there's the first one, which I think was released maybe 5 years ago now, and then I think they re-released it maybe 2 years ago. I think I know what's going on. So I have my controller connected somewhere else instead of the usual port because I'm charging my phone at the same time because the outlet's like way out of reach. So I think every time I switch to like a new character, that thing's gonna pop up. But yeah, if you like RPGs, I highly recommend picking up Divinity. I think it's a really good game. It's a really good RPG. I want to make sure I get. Actually, I don't have Feign, so I can actually get Water Infusion. Yeah, I don't know how many of you guys typically play RPGs. I'm assuming like some of you guys do, just because Elder Scrolls is an RPG kind of game. Oh, I should have put. Yeah, I should have used the fusion so he has the ranged attack. So I might head over to ESL at some point. I do need to do want to do some VMA because I do need to. I do need a few transmute stuffs. I can't hit you from here, can I? Can. Yeah, so you can see here everyone has armor and health. So different types of damage, physical, magical, and then you have the obviously their health. It's like this guy has more physical than magical, or more magical than physical, so I'm going to try to basically take advantage of that. Yeah, every time it's just going to pop up. Let me see if I can. Okay, yeah, let me see if I can rearrange a couple of things here. Right now it's thinking that okay. Yeah, I need like a USB port or something. Unfortunately, the closest outlet's quite a ways away. I won't necessarily be able to read my phone. My cord's not quite that long. I could always shift, but that'll be annoying because I have to shift the entire table over. Let me see here. I actually might be able to do it. Although I'd rather not. Just because it's a pain in the ass to do so. But I think it'll be easier that way. I'll just shift my entire. I'll just shift the table over so I'm closer. I did not disconnect it. Oh, I did disconnect it. I'm just going to reconnect in a second. And the problem is it thinks I am player 2 when I'm actually player 1. But I'm going to hop over to connect my phone to the outlet. Let's see. Far is the reach? Not that far. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. Yeah, I'm gonna flip. Shift things over a little bit. That's fine though. Big deal. One of the legs. You guys heard all that through the laptop microphone. Sorry about that. Yeah, now I can at least pay attention to the YouTube chat a little bit here. It's going to be a little bit farther than I thought, but can't be perfect. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, not perfect, but we'll make do. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see if I can another hit on you. All right. Unfortunately for me, my main character, which is who I'm on right now, is not very offensively capable. So just like other RPGs, there are obviously classes you can pick up. So my main character is I guess the best way to describe it is she is basically kind of support role, or I'm building her to be a support role is a better way to put it. So she doesn't have a lot of like actual damage abilities, unfortunately. At least not for right now. And Beast is frozen. I think if I... Oh, I won't reach. Move. Yeah, and Sabille is my ranged magic caster, and she doesn't quite have all the attacks that I would like her to have. Yeah, so now I have a ranged move. But you're burning. I want to keep you burning. Unfortunately, I can only use it once. So it's just like this is a lot more traditionally MMO RPG, where when you use an ability, there's a cooldown on it. So you can see I have a cooldown on a lot of my abilities right now. I'm gonna try to finish you off. Current thoughts on the current Nineblade meta? I'm not a fan. I'm just gonna be like straight up honest. I don't like the concept, the idea that all you have to do is just bring 8 of the same class as DPS. Like that to me just is indicative of poor design, right? That one class is so strong that you want to use that one class for DPS. It's just bad design. What am I? I'm still encouraged. Let's kill you. Oh wait, but you're undead. So the poison's going to. I forgot about that. Yeah, so these guys count as undead, and in Divinity, if you're undead, poison damage actually heals you. So I forgot about that. So one wand is poison, the other wand is fire. So getting healed instead of damaged. And you don't have any abilities left. I have this one, this is a close range ability. I think it's still on that. Lost my health for them. Beast. Let's get rid of some of that physical armor on that mage. Can't bleed you though, because you're undead. Yeah. I mean, it was something that was brought up for those of you guys who are in the Toxic Radiant Fire TRE Discord. There's kind of a discussion about basically the idea that the current class balance is really bad, which is true. It's entirely true. Nightblades are all your DPS. In fact, it's come to the point where you're going to bring, for healers, for some groups, not all groups are doing this, but there's kind of become a thing where you bring a Templar healer and then a Sword healer. The Sword healers actually aren't terrible. They're not quite at the same level as Warden and Templars, but they're not like that bad. They're not that much of a difference. So you bring a Sword healer instead for the conduits, and then you have 8 like Nightblade DPS. And it's just kind of like, why, when class balance has gotten that far, where again all of your DPS are the exact same class, like there's a problem there. And like, I frozen. Oh shoot! Yeah, perhaps none of my units are frozen, so the main character is not. But yeah, the fact that every DPS now is a Nightblade is ridiculous. It's bad. It's bad for the balance of the game, I think. They have to make some sort of corrections somewhere. Where, I'm not sure. I'm going to... Oh, shoot, picked the wrong ability. it's not good. The balance right now is not great for DPS, which I really dislike. They need to do a better job at doing that. Season code. I forgot what that does. I think it regenerates magic armor. But yeah, the whole Nightblade meta is super. I don't like it. It has to be different. Like they have to buff. The thing is, like, they shouldn't nerf Nightblades. They need to like buff other classes, right? Like, because nerfing Nightblades, that doesn't really solve the issue. And I'll stop reach down for it. Yes, it can.
I'm ready.
So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. I think it's stupid. I think it needs to change. And so yeah, let's put you all the way down there. Oot. Oh, there's a chest. I don't know if it's worth opening it though. Empty.
That was even easier than I thought.
Pathetic boy. This isn't some game.
That was even easier than I thought.
Bad frame here. There's a rat. Come back. Alright. So a little bit more about Divinity Original Sin 2. As in all RPGs, there are perks you can pick up, things like that. And so like one of the perks is you can talk to animals. So I picked up that perk because it actually ends up being quite useful in the game.
But it's a riddle, isn't it? A conundrum. What's it you'll have to solve? I thought you looked clueless, alright? Thing is, it's about the letters, isn't it? One for each thing. Easy. Yeah, sure. Hope you were nice to me.
What's making Nightblades hit so much harder? It's kind of a combination of several things. That's mine. But the main thing is, I used to be able to check out these mines. But the main thing is the bow procs. The changes to the bow procs made them quite strong. Oh no, can I not? I have to use this. No, that didn't work. But yeah, the idea is that the bow procs, when they changed the way Merciless Resolve and all those work, it used to be that whenever you used the bow proc, Merciless Resolve would basically expire and you would have to re-up it. That they changed that. I forget what it was. Might have been in. Excuse me. It might have been in Morrowind. No, it wasn't in Morrowind. It was a patch. I think it was a patch after Morrowind. Dragon Bones? Either the Dragon Bones or Horns of the Reach, where they changed it so that they basically changed it so that the bow proc, instead of like completely expiring, the buff maintained itself, so that way you can keep on using bow procs out over and over and over again. So the old Merciless Resolve and I forget what the other morph is called, Relentless Focus. It was 4 light attacks, got your bow proc off, and then you had to rebuff with Merciless or Relentless. But then they changed it where it was you can shoot as many blows as you want, but instead of 4 light attacks, it had to be 5 light attacks or heavy attacks instead. So that push Nightblade DPS up by a considerable margin, because the bow proc does a crap ton of damage. Like, I mean, you've seen the hits, like on comment reports, like on the solo parts, it's like 40k. But like when you have all the raid buffs going on, like Warhorn, Major Force, and all that stuff, all your minor buffs going on and the extra penetration, you can hit pretty. I've seen crits for like 90k on the bow proc, and so like when they made that change, LCH, the best Nightblade in PCNA, maybe not like the PC platform itself, because there are some really good Nightblades on PCEU, but if you could get like 3 or 4 bow procs off per Merciless Resolve, or I think it's Merciless Resolve, like your DPS just went straight up. Like that patch bumped the Nightblade DPS up like a good like 5 to 9k or something like that. It was something ridiculous. So Nightblades just got pushed up a lot, and then Nightblade executes actually scale incredibly well. So there are 3 classes, well, technically 4, but 3 classes with executes that are spammables. Well, 2 that are spammables, 1 quasi-spammable, and the 4th one is an ultimate. So Magblades and Maxworks both have executes. Actually, Standblades have the same execute too. And Nightblade executes scale off of enemy health. So the less health that an enemy has, the more damage it does. Magsword execute Endless Wrath or Mage's Fury, that doesn't scale at all. That's actually a fixed number. It does a X amount of bonus damage. So it's not like Nightblades where it's like it does X% more. Like it doesn't scale like that. So regardless if the enemy is at 20% health or 1% health, your Mage's Wrath is always going to do the same amount of damage. And then there's Templars with Radiant Oppression, which scaled terribly before this patch. Now it's buffed again, so it did a lot more damage. It does a lot more damage now. But the weakness behind that execute is even though it's 480% more damage, and it obviously scales off of health, it's a channel. So the reason why channels are really bad for PvE DPS is that while you're channeling, you're not able to use any light attacks. And light attacks, especially with the changes to Somerset, light attacks are so much more powerful. And actually losing, I think I'm going back the other way. Yeah, so if you lose your light attacks, like J-Beam lasts for 3 seconds, so you're losing basically 3 light attacks. Your channel time needs to make up for that loss in light attacks. Should I go down? It looks like a dead end. Yeah, let's go down. Why not? I like to explore everywhere in these sort of games. But yeah, so like even though it's a 480% execute damage bonus, you're giving up 3 light attacks to do it, and now it's worth it. But in the past, when it was 330, it wasn't worth it. And then Warden execute is the bear, which is an ultimate, so you can't use it as spammable. So, and it's not even that great. It's 100% more damage under 25% health. So it's pretty much a fixed amount. It's a lot like the Maxwork execute in that it does a fixed amount of bonus damage. It's not a scaling execute. So Nightblades are very powerful because you can do a lot of bow procs, and your execute scales very nicely with enemy health now. I see a couple more on YouTube thing. Okay, Christopher, I know which set you're talking about. I also don't remember the name itself, but I have not done any testing on it. I know some people who have, and their general feeling is that it's not great, because even though you can get poisons to proc on your back bar now with blockade, it's still like a 20% chance to proc. So it's not very high proc chance, is the big thing. And so you're not really able to maintain it very well. It's going to be more for PvP, where you combine that set with something like maybe Clever Alchemist and the new monster upset, what it's called, Balorg. Like if you combine those two, then it'll be really good. So you can see here that it says you can open the door, but if you have the mini-map up, I can't point it out, but like there's a mini-map, right? And so if I try to open it, it's just going to be like, no, you can't.
Out of the frying pan and into...
I don't know if I can open this door. Okay, I can. 2 chests. Bet you one of them is an illusion. But yeah, I don't think that new set's going to be any good. I've heard some people have tested it. I haven't personally done it, but I don't think it's going to be great for PvE. It's going to be more of a PvP burst damage kind of thing, like your poison procs, and then you like open up with the bomb or something like that. Yeah. So one of the pain points that was brought up. Great. I don't really use daggers, so that's going to be sold. I think I can use the shield though. So one of the pain points that was brought up for in the class rep meeting was that Sorks kind of feel like they're running in place these past couple of patches. Like their DPS has gone up, but it's not because of any changes to Sorks. It's because of changes to like just DPS in general. So if they did change it so that it's scaled instead of being like a set 20k bonus, it would help Sork DPS out a good amount. The question is, of course, how do you balance it in PvE, right? Or not PvE, PvP. Because that's always the big question, right? How do I balance something for PvE while also not making it too overpowered in PvP and vice versa? Let's see. Oops. I think I just sent it. Yeah, don't want my views junk. One of these buttons is. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah, this one's better. Where is that book? Book. So yeah, if they made it so it scales, like I said, I don't want them to nerf Nightblades. Like, I don't think nerfing is the right approach to any of this. I think the idea is to buff everybody or buff the underperforming classes and skills. Here it is. So I think it'd be better off for them to make the execute for Sork scale off enemy health, a lot like how Nightblade executes work. And kind of the same thing with the Warden ult, the base. Although they did say they were trying to make it so that Warden DPS is not as reliant on the Bear ulti anymore, which I think is really important. So what I did here was I actually learned a couple of crafting recipes. I don't know if I learned that one yet. So if we go over to crafting, I'll have some more recipes over here. Some of these aren't that great, like the scrolls. So a lot of them aren't fantastic. There are a couple of people. There are a couple of other people who like use these pretty well. But like for me personally, shocking touch scroll, for instance, I'm never going to use something like that. Haste is one that's really nice to have. But you can all these like scrolls you can learn from like using books. The advantage of running a scroll is you don't have to learn it, and it doesn't cost you any memory. So if you go over to skills, each skill you learn uses up a memory slot. So like right now, if I were to learn, I do have ignition at peace of mind. If I were to learn ignition, I would use up a memory slot. So I can only learn 2 more abilities before I can't learn anymore. And obviously the higher level ones require more memory. I actually need to learn these 2 then. Peace of mind is actually quite useful. Buffs and debuffs in Divinity can be quite strong and overall very useful. Here.
You come to find, you come to search, but you won't find the way.
So yeah, that's basically the idea behind like how I would change to or at least change to executes. Basically make them scale. So like Sorks, I'd just maybe scale like 200% or something like that, or maybe a little bit higher because their thresholds for execute for Sorks is 20% rather than 25, so maybe like 300% additional damage, or I don't remember off the top of my head how much the maximum amount of hit damage, the maximum amount like modifier for Nightblades are. But basically take that at 50 because Sorks have a lower execute threshold, and then for Bear Ultimate, just make it scale and make it do, because it is an ultimate, so it hits really freaking hard. Just make it like scale up to like 200% or something, because like even without the scaling, like the Bear ulti hits really freaking hard with raid buffs. I think Styles has a part where it hits like over 100k or something like that. So That's pretty strong, and obviously the bear is completely useless in PvP. So like if you buff it in PvE, PvPers are probably still not going to use it because pet AI apparently is really crap in PvP.
Brachus has willed it. Trompdoi must abide. You have met the unfortunate guardian of this vault. Judge him with a forgiving heart. Fate has been unkind to him.
So Brachus, I won't spoil too much in case you guys want to play it, but Brachus is quite the historic figure in the Divinity universe.
Do you wish to move forward? Listen closely and make your attempt. Brachus is a bloody, rotten, thieving, very, very awful fellow. Some even call him a cur. A cur is...
Okay, I remember this puzzle. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but when the rat said it's about the letters, that was a pretty big hint here. Let me see here. This would be
either you're very good at guessing or the slightest bit clever. Let's find out for certain. Listen closely and make your attempt. Source is a scourge, a devil, a misery, a blight, a hex, a curse. And yet, the cure is...
Let's see here. Cure B. Here.
Perhaps you're not totally incapable after all. Or maybe Trompdoi told you the answers. Is that it? Is he hoping you'll... It doesn't matter in any case. The path is open. Go freely.
Voice acting in this game is top notch. I've never heard such good voice acting in this game before.
I know little, but you have proven yourself a knowing traveler. I will answer what I can. Brachus Rex discovered the way. This he researched here, upon this isle. He could remove the source from any creature or individual. I saw the stars he used myself. They were most impressive.
So when they're talking about the source, so in the Divinity universe, the source is basically the equivalent of like Elder Scrolls Magicka. So it's basically like a pool of magic that you can use to cast very powerful spells. And people who are able to use the source are called sorcerers, but obviously not spelled like the normal sorcerer, S-O-R. It's source, like source here, and sorcerer. So you just add R-E-R to the end of source. So the source actually has a pretty deep history in the Divinity universe as well. So this game actually takes place, I forgot what the dev said, but it was like over 1,000 years since the first Divinity original sin. So it's actually a pretty interesting lore behind the Divinity universe.
Brachus Rex has charged him, tried him, convicted and punished him. I know not the crime, but Trompdoi was and is a creative man. He knew petty magic in his day. But this he has used to carve this place out from a simple vault, myself included.
So yeah, if any of you guys love RPGs, I'd highly recommend picking up Divinity. I know they're actually going to release a definitive edition. I think at the end of August 31st, actually the last day of August. And I'm really looking forward to that because we did the last arc of the game, which is great because the last arc definitely needed some work. It was not a great arc, basically. Could have been better. Oh, invisibility. I hate invisibility. But if we use the map, we can figure out where all the invisible things are. Plus, if we take a look here, it can tell us where all the invisible things are. Like, I can't actually walk this way. I think I actually have to, you have to go around this way. Let's see here. Who do I want to take care of first? 2 melee, archer, and this rogue. There's no elemental things nearby. It's okay. So the rogue has to come around that way. So I'm gonna do this. No, that's a little bit too risky, because what if it doesn't hit 33? I'm out. I'm gonna go for Sabille. Let's see if anything's happening in the Twitch chat. Not quite as on Twitch as I am on YouTube, just because Twitch was not my first platform. Obviously, YouTube was my first platform, so not quite as like on top of Twitch things. But I am still thinking about migrating over to Twitch, all the streaming stuff at least to Twitch. I feel like that might end up being useful overall. I have elemental stuff, which means I can. So like you could still summon in an incarnate without the elemental things, but it's just stronger if you summon it on an elemental surface like oil or fire or ice or something. Just makes it a little bit better. Actually, don't think there's any. Yeah, there are no mages, so I don't really need frost armor. I'll just do this. I have no idea where the road is, so we'll just. Nope, also the way. You can see here that the game actually uses the geometry of the map really well, so you can see that this casts projectile, and because this wall's in the way, I can't throw the projectile over it. Not all spells are like this, obviously, but it's great that they kind of thought up of this, because some RPGs use an ability and it'll hit anybody anywhere as long as it's within range, but here you actually have to kind of pay a little bit of attention to the geometry of the map. And of course, you also take into consideration all of the elemental stuff that's on the ground too. So I really enjoy this sort of like thought process that goes on. It's really useful. And I think this does earth damage. So I think this is magical damage. Yeah. Okay, so you can see here the danger with some of these projectile attacks is that if I cast it on Trump Doy right here, it'll hit my allies too. Don't want that to happen. I will go. Can I? No. So this is one move that'll hit everybody. And Infinite Beasts don't really have good magic armor, so that really hurt them. Don't want to hurt my allies, it's not good. Actually probably should set this off here. That'll hurt my incarnate. Oh, I just lost those grenades and the water balloon. Well, the water balloon I don't really care much about. It's the grenades that kind of make me sad. Grenades are really useful. They're basically pretty much a guaranteed way of putting an elemental status effect on the ground. I'm going to get off the fire so it'll get hurt by it anymore. That's not good. Mage here. I'm not familiar with all. Oh, that's undead. I don't know what the other one is. I think that might be faster. Yeah, but he's level 6. I should probably try to deal with him faster. can't be poisoned, and I'll heal him anyways because he's considered undead. So I'll just use this. Do I have? Is there blood on the ground anywhere? There is.
Glory is mine.
Oh no, it's. I guess it's electrified blood. So can I? Nope. Too far away. Teleportation is a very strong skill to have. I like to have it. This makes it a lot easier to deal with people at range, but you still have to be obviously within range to use it. Somebody here probably doesn't have any magic. Yeah. Armor is important. So at this point, I might actually step away far enough to use. Yeah. There we go. Oh, I don't know if I can. Okay, cool. I can hit them. Oh, I missed him. How in the world did I miss him? Let's. Back. It's kind of Diablo style. I'll admit that I've never really played Diablo too much. I have picked it up here and there, but I haven't really played it that much since maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. But I would say it's kind of Diablo style, where it's like walking around pretty much like free roam until you get into combat, in which case it's a turn-based combat system. There's a different RPG that's kind of used to kind of describe the Divinity style, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. Hi, HMR. Whatever. Oh, he had that. Okay, I'm gonna re-up my armor. So if you have a shield, you can actually re-up your armor with 2 AP. AP are kind of like action points is what they're called, so you need to have action points in order to use certain abilities. So this will actually damage me. Time to get out the fire. If I remember correctly, bleeds don't do anything on undead, but it'll still do damage. Question is, can I cast this so I don't hit Ifin? Aha, looks like I can. So there is like an outline, so like you can see here, Ifin's in blue, which means I'll hit him. He's not here, which means I'll be able to hit him. Hit the 2 without hitting my allies, that is. So 44 health, let's...
You'll see what's real when it stabs you in the eye.
more shit to deal with. Great. That's amusing that they actually still have the Gen Stone Indestructible tag. So we got an archer. Can't tell. That's like an archer. And this dude is dual wield staves. Let's get you. Then we can use that on them. Then heal myself. Healing's obviously quite important in this game. Yeah, that's great to hear that you're finding the build videos helpful. They're not. I'll like come out and say this right now. There are probably either stronger or better ways of doing like a rotation or something. But this is kind of what I found to be best for me, and I think it's still very close to best in slot, if not the best in slot. It's just actually let me healing important, especially you, Seville, because you're on fire. Get rid of that. But yeah, so like the DPS tests that I do for each build, or like for my support roles, like what I'm talking about, I will fully admit that I am not the best DPS, and I'm not the best tank, I'm not the best healer in the game. Those clearly go to other people. But I try my best to at least bring it down to a level that is at the very least accessible to everybody. Like, not necessarily like this is the gear you need, because like obviously Perfect Sororia is not exactly what I would call accessible to everybody. But I try to bring it so you guys kind of understand what's going on, and I think that's probably the most important thing that a lot of people, content creators at least, kind of don't really explain very well in some cases. A good example of this would be like maybe like LDH's video. Like, he's a very good player. He's like obviously one of the best Magic and Night Blades in ESL. But he doesn't necessarily do a very good job of explaining why he uses certain things. And that's not his fault. It's sometimes it's hard to explain things. So I don't, it's not like a bad thing, but I do wish some content creators were a little bit more mindful of when they're explaining things, to kind of bring it down to a level that's accessible to the most amount of people. Jeez, almost dead. Kind of want to make sure I do some damage here. So I don't kill you. Then, because you are very dangerous, because you are level 6, I'm gonna kill you next. Let's see if I can kill you. Ah, there we go. Swap it to my character here. Oh, that makes sense, because the level 6 is probably the original, and all the rest were illusions. So, yeah. DPS difference between purple and gold gear. Let's start with that first. So it's going to depend on whether you're talking about armor or if you're talking about weapons. I did 2 videos kind of exploring each of these, and these were maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. If you look at the theory crafting playlists, you'll probably find them a little bit further down. I forget what they're titled, but it's something about purple gear versus purple weapons and all that stuff. But basically let me just loot him real quick. Basically for weapons, gold weapons is actually a very significant increase in DPS. We're not talking like 1 or 2%. We're talking like easily 5 or more percent if you upgrade your weapons from purple to gold, which is why whenever you ask for DPS advice, like on the forums, on the subreddit, or even the discords, the first piece of advice that you'll hear is make sure your weapons are upgraded all the way up to gold, because that'll give you the highest return basically on your investment. So if you think of like, oh, I have to pay for 8 tempers, it's worth it because you'll see a much more noticeable increase in your DPS compared to like golding out a chest piece or something. And then in terms of purple armor to gold armor, well, that's a much smaller DPS gain. I think when I tested it was something like maybe 1%. Somewhere between 1 or 2% between purple to gold armor, like full purple to full gold, I should say this. So like each individual piece is obviously going to be a little bit like, it's not going to be proportional. It's not going to be like one increase is going to be like, if it's a 1% increase, it's not going to be like a 0.2% increase because your small piece obviously has a smaller enchant strength, so it has 40% of the normal enchant strength. It all depends too, like if it's divines, then it doesn't really matter. So like your purple divine is always going to be 6.5, gold divine is always going to be 7.5. So in that return, yes, it doesn't matter if it's small or large, but if you're using something like an infused large piece, like the infused is a slightly larger gain. So basically, weapons, gold, big DPS difference, anywhere between I think 5 to 7 or something like that. But armor, not that big of a difference. Then you mentioned Rakuta to Kuta. So that's purple enchants versus gold enchants. I haven't tested that just yet, mainly because Kutas are actually fairly inexpensive now. Way back, like maybe back in 1T, 1 Tamriel, they were fairly expensive, but now they've gotten pretty cheap. The price of Kuta has dropped by a considerable amount. So I've always assumed that people are able to afford maybe not the Kuta, but maybe like the enchants themselves, because they're normally like you can get like a gold truly superb glyph of flame for maybe like 3.5k, 4k on PCNA. I'm not sure about the prices anywhere else, so that might be different for like Xbox or PS4 or PC EU, but they're generally not. Identify this. But they're generally not that expensive, so that's why I didn't really test that. But the difference between Rakuta and Kuta, actually let's hop over to, I don't think I have anything up right now. So if we take a look at UESP, I should probably go myself. So if we take a look at like UESP and go, let's see, Glyph of Flame, why not? That's pretty popular now. So UESP is a great resource. I highly recommend you guys take a look at it if you haven't already. But like you see here, it'll tell you basically everything the base amount. The base amount between the Rakuta purple versus gold here is about 200 or so damage, which it adds up. If you consider how many times your Glyph of Flame procs in a fight, you know, let's say it procs, let's say like 60, 70 times. Like let's say it procs 60 times. 200 times 60, you know, if you do the math, it's about 12,000 more damage. So it adds up, especially over longer fights, obviously. Is it going to make a huge difference in DPS? Probably not. Like 12,000 DPS, I should say 12,000 damage over like, let's say it's a 2-minute long fight, so 120 seconds. That only adds up to be, if I do my math correctly, it only ends up to be about an extra 100 DPS or so. So not that big. Just looking at the base enchant. Now, obviously, these numbers go up based on CPs, class passives, like the Dark Elves flame damage bonus that affects superb Glyph of Flames. Glyph of Flames. So obviously, these numbers are just the base numbers, so they do go up. So the DPS difference is going to be actually a little bit bigger, but not by too much. So like the difference between a Rakuta glyph, like a purple glyph versus a gold glyph, probably not that big for a damage glyph. But if we take a look at, where is it? Weapon damage glyph. Again, it's not that big. It's 28 is the difference here on the base. And this doesn't change at all. So like it's the 28 weapon or spell damage difference. And when you take into consideration your boosts and stuff, it might make a little bit more of a difference on stam, just because you have a bigger percentage boost to your weapon damage compared to spell damage as for Magicka DPS. But it's not going to make or break you. I can test it if you guys like, but it'd probably be around like 1%, 2%. It's probably be the same amount of difference between purple armor and gold armor, to be honest. If you want to save some money, by all means, go ahead and use a purple enchant. But with the prices of Kuda going down, because there's always going to be Kuda coming in, I don't see a reason why you should use purple glyphs. Just because you can buy like a superb glyph, truly superb glyph of, in this case, weapon damage, for a pretty reasonable price. If we go onto TTC, their website. This is for PCNA, obviously, because that's what I play on. So if you go look up, do student advanced search, because it'll show up the white ones too if I just do a normal search. So if we do truly superb glyph of flame, do a price check on it. So TTC is given about between 3.2K and about 4K. So, it's not that big of a difference. It's not like super expensive. It's not like you're buying like 8 tempering alloys, for example, to like upgrade like a dagger or something. So I would say if you can, save up for the glyphs, just because it might be small, but every little bit does help out with your DPS there. Emails. A lot of random emails I gotta delete. Alright, let's go back to the game. I did see a couple of things pop up. Let me check Twitch. The thing with Twitch chat is every time I swap to the Twitch app, it says I'm connecting to the stream chat. So I'm not sure if it's like it's not showing the past chats when I pull it up, because I know Twitch sometimes, like when you go onto the not dashboard, when you do it on the desktop, right, it won't necessarily show up the like it won't show up historical stuff. It only show up what's there going on. So I'm not sure if that's actually, like, if it's not showing the past stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. So all this stuff is awesome. Question is this bow better than the one that Ifin has already? So like,
as you pick up the ring, you feel a cold, dark pain shoot up your arm. Your mind itches. You don't hear, but feel a whisper in your ear. It tells you to slip the ring onto your finger.
So yeah, that's the narrator voice. I really like the narrator voice for this game. I think it's great. Like it's the accent combined with kind of how he intonates certain things. It's actually pretty decent. Like I said, the voice acting in this game is fantastic. It is one of the best that I've seen. Or I shouldn't say you don't see voice acting, but it's one of the best that I've heard in a game in a very long time. Hold on, wait. I think there was another room back there that I could have gone to. I'm going to go back to that room. Gotta get all the loots. But first, let's take a look at inventory. So this says set cursed, so I kind of don't want to put it on. Let's see, Geomancer, that'll probably be better with Sabille. Sabille is my primary thing. She needs a belt, and I did pick up a belt. It does give her some more physical armor as well. Again, set cursed. So I can't actually unequip this, so I do have a couple of amulets that I want to give these guys, but since I'm not quite at this point in the story where I can get rid of this source collar on all my characters, then I can't miss that. I'm just checking all my armor. I don't think I have any better armor right now. What was that? Right. Weapons. Oh, I picked up. Yeah, this is clearly stronger. Shoes, pants, nothing. And then beast. Well, clearly this is more of a magic characters, but he can still wear it. So yeah, he needs more magic armor anyways. Here, I think here is useful for him. That's just the same. Question is, so I have Beast as a two-handed. So now you can see here that this spear also does elemental damage. We kind of have to take that into consideration. Also, the spear of Brachus Rex also has a chance to set Petrified, which is a really strong stats effect. So basically, I'd be giving up some damage. I get 1 strength, but I'd give up slow and Petrified, so I don't want to do that. Interesting how this spear requires finesse. This is like, okay, so this is like the same thing here, where it's like, I'll do more damage with it, because like I have 13 to 15 here, and clearly this is more damage, 20 to 21, but I'm giving up Petrified and Slowed, and a 5% additional crit chance. I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. I think I will though, because it's a 10% chance of Petrified, so it's not that great. Let me see if there's... Okay. I'll give you the mace. Then I think for Sabille, there's a stronger wand here. Yeah. I'll get more damage that way. Consider making her staff. So that way I have 2 melee, because right now the only melee person I have who has to get within melee range is Beast. Iffin's ranged, she uses bows. Sabille uses wands, so she's ranged. And my main character uses a wand as well, so she's also ranged. Do I feel weird having people call me the new Guillermo? I do feel weird, partly because I don't feel like I deserve the title. So, for those of you, there are no news rooms there. For those of you guys who don't know, it's hard to imagine somebody not knowing Gilliam, but Gilliam the Rogue was a content creator, was pretty famous, infamous, well known for making really long, detailed videos. So if you actually pull up his YouTube channel is still up actually. So he got hired by ZeniMax actually. Let me look up Gilliam. And I do have a link to his channel actually on my channel as well. So Gilliam basically does these really long videos usually. So like this is a very short one. This is like 7 minutes long. But like this video right here, he spends almost an hour just talking about the Nightblade tank, which is insane. Like I think my build videos are kind of on the long side. Like they're between like half an hour to 40 minutes long. And I think that's really long. So I can't imagine like doing an hour long, basically twice as long as my current build videos on this one thing. Now, the good thing is Gilliam goes really, really into the nitty gritty about the details. And that's one of the reasons why I really looked up to him, because he actually went behind the details. He went behind the scenes, figured all of these things out, both from the math side of things as well as actually playing it. So particularly the math side of things, he was really, really well known in the endgame community for crunching these numbers together. Not that none of the other people did it too. Like LZH has his calculator for determining whether Thief or the Apprentice are stronger, and his calculator kind of like inspired me to make my own for my own personal use, which I then kind of was like, hey, let me share this because why not? But yeah, I personally don't feel like I deserve the title of Gilliam because he, I think, goes into much more detail than I do. I try to cover some detail, like he goes like really deep into this kind of stuff. Like I said, he does an hour talking about the Nightblade tank. I try to go a little bit more than skin deep, so it's not like an 8-minute long video. This is the gear, this is the skills. Here's our parts. You're done. Right, I kind of want to go into a little bit more depth, but not like so deep that people fall asleep or people, like skip over it. Like where's the relevant part for me? I just want to know how much DPS a build pulls. So I don't think I'd ever reach that same like knowledge depth that Gilliam has. I also don't like being compared to other people. I like being me. Like I like being like the Asian guy. Like I don't want to be called Gilliam the Rogue 2.0 or something like that, because I'm not. He has his own style. He has his own sort of brand, right? I kind of want to not necessarily build off of it, right? I kind of want to make something my own, kind of make myself a little bit unique compared to Gilliam. So it is weird. I won't say I dislike it, but I'm also one. I feel really awkward with it, and I really don't feel like I don't really deserve it in a sense. But I mean, if that's what people are saying, then I guess I do have some sort of a reputation to live up to now. And so yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I'm kind of like surprised that people are saying this because I don't feel like I'm at the same level as him, and I am at the same time also very humbled because it's like, oh, people think I have that same level of expertise. I will say though, Gilliam, while he is very knowledgeable and doesn't do a lot of math stuff, he tended to do a lot of Nightblade stuff and not so much the other classes. It doesn't mean like he's bad at the other classes. It's just that a lot of his content is more based on Nightblade stuff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like you clearly want like people who are experts in their class, but for me, I'm more of the jack of all trades, master of none kind of person. I like to master, not necessarily master all the classes, but be good enough that good enough that I'll be able to talk about each class and each role, how they perform in each role, like decently well. What are all? Oh, I remember what all these are. Actually, this room got me the first time I did play this. Because I was playing like the old noble knight kind of thing, like the good person. But oh god, there's a point later in the story where this comes back to haunt you if you make the wrong decision. Okay, so you're playing Magplar. You have sustain problems. Using Berserker Flame, 3 magic damage. You're playing with pugs and using trash potions. How do you suggest changing any of those listed? Yeah, the Magplar build is coming out. I think it's not coming out for a few days though. So I have so my kind of recording schedule is basically like I bang out 2 or 3 videos, build videos at a time, and kind of schedule them. So like right now I have videos scheduled all the way up to I want to say the 26th. So a Magplar I think is somewhere in the middle. So it's like 21st or 22nd is coming out. But yeah, Magplar sustain is kind of poopy. Especially since they changed the channel focus. Well, my recommendation is I noticed you didn't mention what food you're using. So I do want to like ask you like what kind of food are you using? If you're using blue food, you might want to consider using. You might want to consider using Witchmother's Potent Brew or Clockwork Citrus Flame instead. That will lower your health compared to using like blue food. So I think blue food is like 5,300 health, while Witch I think is 35 and Citrus is 3,700. So you are going to lose some health there. So if you're comfortable with lower health, by all means go ahead and do that. But I'm personally one of those people who prefers to have at least 16,000 health for vet content, especially because you mentioned here that you are okay. So you are using Witch Mothers, okay? So you are playing with pugs. So like obviously you're not necessarily going to be in an organized group where you know you're going to get heals from like your healer. So like yeah. So if you're using Witch already, Citrus isn't going to help you that much because it is better than Witch. But you're talking maybe like 10 additional base regen, which works out to be like 20 when you work in passives. So my recommendation would be to swap out one of your damage glyphs for a regen glyph. I know that seems like I don't want to do that, but like losing sustain and having to heavy attack during your rotation is actually a bigger loss in DPS compared to running the regen glyph. Because the idea is you want to sustain your DPS, which means you want to sustain your rotation. And if adding in that regen glyphs allows you to sustain your rotation a little bit better, so instead of let's say you go through 5 full rotations before you're out of magicka, with 3 spell damage, but you managed to do 8 with a regen glyph, then you have more DPS that way because you're able to fit in 2 or 3 more additional full rotations with that regen glyph. So that would be my first recommendation. Swap out one of your spell damage glyphs for a regen glyph. The second recommendation that I would suggest you take a look at, not necessarily do right away. Just try out the regen glyph first. And if that works, then great. But if you're still kind of aching for sustain there, actually try using an absorb magic glyph. It is going to be DPS loss. You will see a slight drop in DPS, at least initially. But like I said earlier, like the same concept applies with the absorb magic glyph as with the regen glyph. You still want to sustain full rotations as much as you can, because the heavy attacks, they eat up your global cooldowns, so you're not using spammable, you're not light attacking. So it's just chunkier, and you do see DPS loss, because if let's say you have the heavy attack 2 or 3 times in a row, right, that ends up being about 6 seconds or so. So that's 6 spammable, 6 global cooldowns that you missed for 3 heavy attacks. That actually ends up dropping DPS. So it's kind of the same concept here. Just in terms of pure damage, yes, the absorb magical glyph is weaker than the flame glyph. But if you're able to sustain additional full rotation, if you're able to sustain additional 2 full rotations, like front bar, back bar rotations, then it'll be worth it. So that's what I would recommend. First is try swapping out a spell damage glyph or a regen glyph. Just 1, don't do 2. 2 is a little bit too much of a DPS loss. Then try swapping out your berserker for a absorb magical glyph. I would replace the berserker instead of the flame, because you still want the flame glyph going, because that's still a good source of DPS. Plus it also procs burning, which is a nice source of DPS, especially on a Templar, because you're normally a dark elf. So that would be my recommendation there, to help you out with sustain there. Okay. Yeah, there is a slight delay between like what I'm saying and when it shows up for you guys. I think it's like a 20-second delay or something. So, yeah. So start J beaming. Okay. Yeah, so we've covered where to put the magical glyph. Yeah, so magical glyph, probably front bar would be best, because you still want the flame damage on your back bar, because that'll do more damage. If you're really aching for sustain even with the absorb magic on the front, then you can swap to absorb magic back, flame front if you'd like. But that's going to be a little bit less DPS overall. Not by too much. It's maybe like 700. It's not going to be noticeable in pugs, like DPS difference. So yeah, that would be my recommendation there. Ooh, I got the pants. So J-beam at 25 rather than 50. So the thing with J-beam is that it scales off of how much health the enemy has remaining. So if you read the tooltip, it says something like deals up to 480% more damage to enemies under 50% health. So it's not it automatically deals 480 starting at 49.9% health. It starts to scale off that. So I'm not 100% sure where it starts to scale, but it is a linear scale. So it does the full 480% additional damage when you hit 1% health, and then it scales linearly upwards from there. I'm not sure exactly how much percentage per percent health, but it does scale. So if you start J-beaming at 50%, you're actually not doing that much damage compared to like when you start J-beaming at 25%. So that's why I start J-beaming at 25 compared to 50%. So that way enemy health is lower, and that basically improves the amount of execute damage that I get. You also have to consider when you're using your J-beam, it's a channel ability, so you're not able to use any light attacks. You're not able to use any spammables while you're J-beaming. So you kind of want to make sure you're still having the spammable going while you're J-beaming, or not while you're J-beaming, but that's something you want to take into consideration. So if you start doing it at 50%, you're basically spending half the fight just sitting there pressing one button, and of course you're light weaving at the same time, but it's not like you're light weaving every single second now. You're light weaving every 3 seconds. So enchant uptime is going to suffer, especially if you have the weapon damage enchant on the front bar, because usually you have the J-beam on the front bar there. So that's something that you do want to take into consideration. And actually, Nos, I forgot what his full name is. It's not Nosferatu, but it's something similar to that. He mains Magplar DPS. He's really knowledgeable about Magplar DPS, and he actually recommends, I think it is 25 to 20%. Actually, let me look it up real quick for you guys who want to play Magplar. It is in toxic rating environment. Let me look for. No, it's not from. Is it? I do have to be in here. Let's see here. NOS. I want to be in here. Actually, don't know if I put Nos here, if it will put his name. Maybe I have to do from. Okay. Let me see if I can look up Beam. I do want to get this right. Here it is from Nos. So he recommends 1 J-beam per rotation from 30% to 25%. At 2%, from 25% to 10%, he recommends doing 2 J-beams. And then from 10 and below, you're just J-beam, just spam J-beam. So when he says 1 beam, 2 beam, basically what he's saying is instead of using your spam bow, so that'd be Ellie weapon or sweeps, use J-beam instead. So you do like so from 30 to 25, basically you do something like blockade into Vampire's Bane, you bar swap, you do your shards, you do purifying light, then you do 1 J-beam, and then you go back and do your spam bow Ellie weapon until you have to go to your back bar and reapply blockade. Then same thing with 25 to 10%, except instead of 1 J-beam and then doing elemental weapon afterwards, it's 2 J-beams. And at that point, then you have to go back because that's 6 seconds. So your blockade probably ran out at that point. And then from below 10%, you don't do any of your dots, you just do a straight J-beam. So Nos is the best Magplar DPS that I know of right now. So if he recommends doing that, then he is probably right on the money when it comes to how to best utilize J-beam. Read my Twitch chat. I'm trying. It's hard. I'm not good at multitasking, guys. It's also like if I split screen it, I actually can't see the chat for YouTube, which is really annoying. I'm sure it pops up, but at the same time, it's oh, there we go. Aha! Never mind. So hi, Sophie. Sophie, guys, is the guildmaster for Hellfire Dominion, so I have to be on her good side, otherwise she will kick me from guild, and I'll be very sad. But yeah, so I had barbecue today for dinner, which is part of the reason why I was so late coming back, because it was so good. Also, the whole Hague thing with Denmark, just kind of like relaxing and enjoying myself at the dinner. So barbecue is a very American thing, right? And so I was like, oh, hey, look, it's a barbecue place. Let's try that out. Let's see if it like is reminiscent of like American barbecue. And it actually wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. It wasn't Texas style barbecue. They were very specific in saying it was Kansas City style ribs, and then they had Tennessee style sauce, Kansas City style barbecue sauce, and South Carolina style barbecue sauce. But it was actually pretty decent for barbecue outside the United States. I still think Texas barbecue is the best, but like that place actually was really, really good. The coleslaw was kind of meh, but I'm not a big coleslaw fan, so it's that. A balance build on Stam Decay with Armor of Truth. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jake, there with balance build. I'm not 100% sure. Andy. Oh, Andy, are you Andrew? Andy Atonality? 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 Yeah. Are you Andrew? I'm sorry I'm not on Twitch stream chat more often. I think I figured out how to look at YouTube chat and Twitch chat at the same time. I think this is working now. So I can actually see and respond to Twitch chat, and so haha, victory. I can technology very well.
The soul jar stands on its plinth, glowing softly. From within, you can almost hear the whisper of a voice.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be Divinity gameplay, but like I said, like this is kind of like open forum. You can talk about ESO if you'd like. I don't mind talking about ESO. I just figured a change of pace, show off some games I'd like to play here. I knew it was you, Andrew. Yeah, I'm trying to pay more attention to my Twitch stuff now. Just because a couple people have recommended that I swap to Twitch.
You see, or rather, you feel a far
And I do kind of
frozen breath
want to do that at some point.
Needles brush your cheeks, and in your arms you can feel a weight.
I do want to swap over to
but you have hope.
Swap over to Twitch at some point for all my streaming stuff. Just because I think I mentioned this in an earlier stream, that Twitch just has such a more robust system for streaming compared to YouTube. YouTube gaming, because I streamed for now probably like a year or so, and it hasn't changed at all. It's just the same thing, same concept, same layout. Twitch, at least, it's trying to be more relevant. It's trying to improve its streaming platform. So I'm thinking about swapping all of my streaming stuff to Twitch at some point. Not sure when, though. Probably want to get back to the States. So what are these bits? I don't know what you're talking about when you say bits, Sophie.
Your vision swims. You're older, but perhaps not wiser. You march at the head of a shambling host, the enemies of Brachus Rex melting before you. The scene twists again. Now Brachus stands before you, a beautiful woman at his side. You lash out in treasonous rage, but cold arms bind you. You're sealed away in a tower. Your screams fill the darkness. You feel a jolt and open your eyes to see the soul jar before you, lying still in the vault. Your hand falls from the jar and grips the pillar as you try to calm your ragged breathing.
So chat pop up on YouTube one. You suggest to switch to spell sim. Bars are spears. Iron, right. Blockade, shield, range, challenge, focus, acceleration. I would probably say for spell sim, you would probably want it on the back bar. That's where I would put it at least. So I'd probably get rid of acceleration. Challenge acceleration would be what I'd give up. I know it sucks because you're giving up that minor force, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those. If it's choosing between minor force and better sustain, I'd go for better sustain. You don't have to give up challenge acceleration. The other one that you might want to give up is purifying light, just because purifying light, the second hit can't crit, so it doesn't actually do that much DPS. I mean, it still hits for 18, 19k, but it's not going to crit at all. So if you want, you can also take out purifying light instead, and use spell sim instead of purifying light. Like last patch, you actually took out purifying light for solar barrage. So those would be my first two choices. Probably purifying light first, and then maybe move acceleration to the front bar, maybe, or you might want to keep it on the back bar. It's kind of up to you. And the other option being channeled acceleration. Yeah, on the back bar there. Give them to streamers, and it gives them money. Monetization. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'm not a big fan of monetization. Also, I know tig old big. Are you talking about big old titties? Oh yeah. If I swap the B and the T, yeah, okay. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that on YouTube, but too bad. No take backs. Where are we at? Oh, we're at the soul jar, right? So I was saying if you make the wrong decision, this actually comes back to bite you, your decision. So I will. Can't absorb the soul because I already have one source point.
A human spirit slips from the ruins of the jar. Decked in necromancer robes, she turns to you, bows, and starts to fade away.
My eternal thanks, young one. Oh, timely death.
You notice that they said, oh, timely death there. So these soul jars, a little bit of backstory, are exactly what they sound like. They house souls. So you have Necromancer Rask's soul in this soul jar here.
The jar on the plinth before you seems ancient, but is in surprisingly good. The pictograms spin to life, and you're dragged into a dream. You see the lizards of the ancient empire turning their backs on you, casting you out.
I mean, if you want to throw money at me, I'm not going to say no, but at the same time, it's not a primary reason why I'm making these videos or streaming. I'm just doing this because I enjoy doing it. So yeah, I wouldn't say that.
As you roll, the human apes turn away from you, all but one. One smiles, one opens his arms, one says he'll take you home. Brachus Rex. He promises power for a price. He picks off your golden scales, one by one, stripping you down to the bone. He promised you a crown, but all you got was shackles. You try to fight, try to reclaim what's yours, but a woman takes you by the hand and leads you to a tower. He promised he'd take me home, you cry. You are home, she smiles as she seals the door. This is where you belong. Your hand drops away from the soul jar, your skin prickling. In the back of your mind, you hear a small, scared voice whimper before fading to nothing. You see a shape emerge from the ruins of the broken jar, a lizard in the finest necromancer robes. It grudgingly nods at you as it starts to fade from the
Farewell to flesh. Farewell.
The long-dead lizard's visions fade.
This is the price of pride and greed. The villain got what he deserved.
My chat's not coming up here. Yeah, that's the one thing I heard with Twitch is that, like I said, Twitch seems to be a lot more robust with its support systems. YouTube, not so much. So that's one of the reasons why I want to swap over to Twitch. It'd probably be a gradual transition, not like cut the cord on YouTube streams and start like exclusively on Twitch. Like right now, I'm like streaming to both platforms. So I might continue that for a few months and, make an announcement on YouTube, like I'm switching over to Twitch starting at this date. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. This is a new game, Sophie. So I have completed the game. I'm just starting a new game with new origin characters. So these characters, Beast, Sabile, I played Sabile in my first run through, so I already know her origin story. But I haven't played Beast and I haven't played Iffin's origin stories. So I want to play through those two, see what their origin stories are about. So that's why I'm doing the second game. So for those of you guys who don't really know, like I said earlier, I'm not sure if you guys have been here for this, but there are characters you can choose to start off with in the game. So you can be a custom character, or you can be one of, I believe it's 6 origin characters. So these characters are in the game already, but you can play as them if you'd like. So there's Sabile, Beast, Iffin, Fane, the Red Prince, and Losa. So yeah, those are the 6. So if you start to play as a custom character, you can pick 3 of these people to be your companion. So your party can only be 4 characters large. So you can see here I have 4. You don't have to use them. You can play this game entirely solo if you want, just yourself. But it will be a lot harder because you can imagine that previous fight with just one of me. That'd be doable, but quite difficult. You'd have to do a lot of strategizing. Yeah, so as you want to, so each of the origin characters have their own story, like why they are in the story, their own goals, their own personalities, things like that. So if you want to experience all of their origin stories, you have to play at least 2 playthroughs because you can only have 4 characters and you can't swap them out. So after a certain point in the game, the other 3 or 2 depending on if you have a custom character or not. They're actually removed from the game until the very end. And there'll be a reason for it, obviously. I'm not going to spoil anything. But basically, the people that you pick as your companions, after a certain point in the story, they're your companions for the rest of the game. So it's after this sort of prologue, Act 1. Once you get past the Act 1, the companions that you have in your party at the time are the ones that are sticking around. So if I were to, for example, swap Beast out for Losa, and then I get into part 2 of the story, I can never go back and change Losa back out for Beast. So you have to do 2 playthroughs if you want to experience all the origin stories. So I didn't do Ifin and I didn't do Beast last time, and I was playing as Sabille the first game, so I actually want to see how her origin story plays out if I wasn't playing as her, because if you're the origin character, you can actually choose what direction your story goes. So, like, this is in the beginning, so I don't really feel bad about spoiling it, but Losa has to find a lizard. So there are lizard people in this game. So Losa has to find, not Losa, Sabille has to find a lizard person. Now, if you're playing as Losa, you actually have an option to either kill him or spare him. But if Sabille is a companion, basically if Sabille is an NPC, she'll kill him no matter what. So if you're playing as an origin character, you can actually have a little bit of level of control as to like how your actions play out. Ultimately, it's not really going to affect the end of your story. Your story arc still remains the same. It's just you can choose to use a different path to get there. And sometimes these paths actually make the game a little bit easier. Sometimes it makes it a little bit harder. So again, that lizard person that Sabille kills, if she's a companion, that lizard person, if you keep him alive, will actually help you in that section of the story. So you do have a little bit of picking and choosing when it comes to origin characters, which is what I really like about this game. It's that they did a pretty good job of fleshing out these characters. The exception is Beast. Beast is kind of less fleshed out from what I've heard. But apparently they're changing everything. I think they said they re-recorded like 30,000 lines or something for the definitive edition that's coming out at the end of the month. So I'm really looking forward to that. I did see a couple of more words popping up on my screen here. They're not Argonians, but they are lizards. I have made some progress, but not quite as much progress as I would if I wasn't streaming. But interaction and things like that.
Selfish reasons.
What he did shames his people.
So you can see there that like each of the characters actually have responses to like things that happen in the game. Let's what is this? Okay, so I don't think that's.
This jar glitters and glows. From within, you think you can make out the distant sound of... With a jerk, your mind is pulled to a scene in a tavern. You see a dwarf in the center of the room, joking us all around roar with laughter. All bar the zombies, who are slavishly serving food and drink.
All right, I'll answer your question just a second here.
A woman stalks into the room. She's flanked by heavily armed guards. You can't make out her words, but see the fear in the dwarf's eyes. The dwarf mutters a word, and the undead lurch towards the intruder, but are cut down like wheat. The dwarf tries to run, pushing her friends into the woman's path, but is grabbed as she's dragged away to a tower. You hear her cursing Brachus Rex and his whore. Even when she's thrown inside and the door sealed, you can still hear her shout. You pull your hand away from the jar, your head swimming. You can feel the dwarf's cold terror still twisting in your gut. The jar shatters like glass, but a spirit rises from the shards like smoke. The ghost of a dwarf, bedecked in necromancer robes, winks and blows you a kiss before slowly fading to nothing.
Beautiful. Thank you.
The vision fades.
Okay, let's see here. How long does it take? I'm trying a new builder class. How long does it take for me to get the rotation down? Good. It depends. Usually when I'm trying out new builds for like a new patch or something, I usually do several parses. Usually just swapping out gear and stuff like that. But then obviously it helps me practice rotation a little bit.
I've rarely seen such cowardice on display.
Keeping the dead as slaves.
Being locked in a tower was more kindness than...
But like it does take a while, and obviously it's going to vary depending on class. Like some classes are easier to pick up. Like Sam Decay's very easy rotation comparatively. So yeah.
It all this way.
Oh, we get a little bit of story here because I guess I got a little bit too far ahead. All right, let's go over the story. But basically, the idea is, depending on the build, it can take me anywhere from a few parses, like 3 or 4 parses to get it down, to maybe like a full week of parsing once or 2 times a day, like for 30 minutes or something like that. And it's obviously going to be different for each person. And the thing is, too, that a lot of builds have very similar rotations. Because if you break it down, each rotation basically boils down to keep dots up, use spammable, ultimate when needed. Obviously, there's a little bit more nuance there. So, for example, like a Magsork's dots, fairly easy to maintain because they share very similar cooldowns. Nightblade rotation a little bit more complex, just because you also have the bow proc in there as well, which you can kind of count that as a spammable / dot. And then you have things like DKs, where that innate, or DKs and wardens, DK wardens, where their dots don't have perfect synchronicity. So you do have a little bit of a dynamic rotation, but it's not complicated by the fact that you have that bow proc like the Nightblades have. So like those rotations are a little bit easier to kind of learn and master. But things like Nightblades, those do take a while. And even I would say I still need some work with like Stamblade, definitely Stamina DPS. I'm not as fluent in Stamina DPS as I am with Magicka DPS. But it does take a while to learn rotations here and there.
He trembles and seems to shudder with a quiet sob.
What does it take to become the very best, like no one ever was? To make catching them your request, taming them your cause. What does it take? A lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of Pokeballs. Oh my god, Pokemon. Ugh. If Nintendo wasn't so freaking anal about emulators, I would actually probably emulate like one of the newer Pokemon games, because Pokemon's so great. Yeah, I play Pokemon. Used to, I should say, play Pokemon pretty religiously, but no longer. I am older.
He has my soul. As long as the jar stays unbroken, I can never truly die. I don't rightly know. This was the Source King's way. Befriend you, then destroy you. I was a fool to expect I'd be an exception. His favor was intoxicating. That's no excuse, but it is the reason. Really? You would?
He drops to his knees before you and grabs onto your feet with both hands, head hanging.
Yeah, I mean, I every little kid. Let's be honest. If you were around when Blue, Yellow, and Red came out, or I should say, Blue and Red. Or is it Blue and Red? Yeah, it's Blue and Red. When those came out, every kid's dream was to be the Pokemon master. And I remember in grade school, people would actually bring their Game Boys to class. Obviously, they wouldn't pull it out in the middle of class, but like in recess, you would break out the Game Boys, pull out the link cables, and trade your Pokemon to try to complete your Pokedex. I've never managed to do it. But it was every kid's dream to like complete the Pokedex. And as far as I know, none of my friends have managed to do it either. It's a job, like trying to get. It's become a lot easier now. Like you don't need to obviously meet somebody face to face and like actually physically connect your two consoles anymore. But back in the day, like you had to know somebody with the other game. Like if you had Red, you either needed to buy Blue in a separate Game Boy, or you need to know somebody who had Blue. So that brings back a lot of good memories. Kind of dating myself here. I get to choose a reward. Oh, okay, so I get a helmet. Yeah, you can choose your reward here. You kind of have to kind of like do a little bit of thinking, like what reward do you want here? No. So you can see here that there's 3 different stats here. So finesse, strength, intelligence, and they correspond to rogue, like range, and range basically like your bows. Strength is obviously all your melee weapons. And then intelligence is obviously your magic weapons. So you kind of have to pick and choose here. I think I'll go with boots. Then you have obviously the one that you get. So runes are, you know, you can apply them to things with slots. I don't know, equipment actually. Yeah, so I do have enough strength to wear that on my main character here. Which I might. I'll lose 5, gain physical. Where am I at right now in terms of physical damage? I don't know. I got there. Sure, it's pretty balanced. But I think one of you has shitty boots. But you can't wear it because you don't have 11 strength. You can't wear it because you don't have 11 strength. I'll put you on. Which can you wear? I know you can wear these. If you wear these, probably not. No, you can. But I don't really sneak too much. Let me see. I'll put him on Iffin. He needs the more. He needs magic. Damn. Magic. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about. He needs more magical things.
The jar before you may have looked opulent once, but no longer. Now it's covered in grime, its paint chipped away, and its jewels long stolen.
I sometimes heal. Not often, Andrew. There was one, the most recent time I healed. I don't know if I have it on my channel actually, but I think I have let me see, actually I might have it. Let me see if I have it. Let me see here. I don't know if it's on the stream archives or not, but it doesn't look like it is. Conquer attempts. I don't know if these are actually organized by date or not, but there was one. Okay, looks like I didn't record it. That or I didn't upload it. It might be saved on my desktop computer. But I did actually heal VMAW on a Warden healer one time. I don't remember. I think it was Griever who was the other healer at the time. So it was a VMAW run, and we were going to do 2 because we're at Hellfire Dominion's at the point where we can do 2 VMAW runs in 2 hours. So our normal raid times are around 2 hours each. So I was going to do the first one as a more traditional healer, so your Warden healer. That's because I think at the time I didn't want to play my Templar healer. And then I was going to do the second run as a DK healer of all things, just for the memes, just to say that I can do it on a DK healer. But I do heal sometimes, not very often. It's normally only when the healers for Hellfire Dominion aren't able to make it. So like that one time I healed VMAW was because both you and Sophie couldn't make it, so I had to step in as a healer because we do have some more tanks than healers. So that's normally when I heal. Normally I don't really do it too often. Usually if I do heal, it's for like a 4-man content normally. But even then, that's not all too common now because for a lot of 4-man content, it's now like I tank and then we have 3 DPS, or I tank, Sophie heals, and we have 2 DPS. But I do heal from time to time. It's not very often, and I do know I need to improve on it. But yeah, so I can do all 3 roles. I don't like to heal very often. It's not obviously my preferred role. I prefer to tank or DPS, but I can heal if needed. Do have the sets and everything kind of put up. Magden is my favorite. Magical Wardens are my favorite class, favorite DPS spec, magic DPS spec.
On its rim,
I'm
you
just
can barely make out the name Gratiana.
I'm just upset that magical wardens and wardens in general, warden DPS, both stamina warden and magical warden, they're heavily reliant on the bear ultimate for good DPS. Like once you drop the bear ultimate, you lose 3 to 4k DPS, which is substantial. So I know they recognized that warden DPS is reliant on the bear, and I know they said they're going to change it, so we'll see what happens. But magical wardens are my favorite class to play as DPS, and whenever I get a chance to do DPS, I try to bring magical warden. But I do recognize that it is dependent on the bear, and so for things like Asylum, or even like Maw sometimes, like Twin, or I guess Maw is not that bad, but like Hoff sometimes, like basically any fight where pets aren't good or aren't allowed, like I can't bring Magical Warden, which kind of sucks, because non-pet Magical Warden DPS is not great. I think I can pull maybe like 30, maybe like 34, 35, no, not quite that low, maybe like 36 with the non-pet build, which isn't terrible, but it's definitely lower than other Magic DPS specs. So I do hope that they keep true to that promise of making sure that DPS is not reliant on the bear anymore for wardens. Yeah, I love the wardens class. Yeah, I do really, I do really want to do Mag Decay Healer on like VHoff or VMAW, but
but underneath it all lies bone
yeah.
and blood.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the way that a lot of guilds run, not all of them, just but like the higher end guilds and sometimes the more try-hardy guilds, they don't really like non-Templar, non-Warden healers, and sometimes they even say no Wardens even, which I think is kind of like, you can do a good job with DK healer.
The vision shifts. You see burning villages, slaughtered women and children. You see her, purging wand in hand, standing amongst it all. She throws her head back and laughter echoes in your skull. A shadow falls across her, and you see a large, weeping face. She reaches out as if to comfort, but Bracchus drags her back. You see her fall into the mire of the swamp, trapped. As you pull your hand away, you can feel a deep, longing sadness in your soul. Is it regret, or just sadness for a life that used to be?
I just realized that I'm pushing ahead a little bit of the story here. I'll actually not break this one. I'm actually going to do this.
The terrible vision fades.
Well, she lived a selfish life. She seems to have she should be forgiven.
Aha. So I actually did this in what's the term? Asynchronous anachronism. Basically, Gratiana is actually an NPC you're supposed to meet before you actually get to this point in the game. So the characters think we've already met her, but actually I haven't.
Whatever a person may have done in life.
However her life began, it ended well. No one should be damned because of their youth.
The deity's head and hands are missing, severed as if by a sword. You can't tell if this was meant to be symbolic somehow, or a mere act of vandalism. As you take in its chiseled details, you have a vision. The statue comes to life and embraces you awkwardly with its broken...
That shrine seems to have brought me here.
Okay, yeah, I'm done. I am definitely doing this in anachronism. I don't know what the word is. I'm doing this out of order, basically. I shouldn't actually be here. I should have supposed to be somewhere else first. But oh well. We'll see what happens. Yeah, like one of the things, Andy, with DK's healers and tanks, and I'll get to your question in a second. See if I can pronounce this right. Dabalia? Dabalia. That's what I'm going with. Dabalia. Yeah, so the thing with DKs is DKs tanks are strong mainly because of Engulfing Flame. Engulfing Flames, for those of you guys who don't know, is anybody who's affected by Engulfing Flames takes 10% more flame damage, and it acts as a multiplier. So it's very similar to minor vulnerability. So that's why DK tanks are actually, that's not the only reason, but it is a big reason why DK tanks are preferred tanks. Now, if you had like a Mag DK, obviously Mag DKs use Engulfing Flames in their rotation, and DK healers even might be able to fit Engulfing Flames into their bar sets. Because normally healers have flex bots, so you can still use Engulfing Flames there. So yeah, like if your main tank's not a DK, like in your case it's a Nightblade tank, it would make sense to try to bring a DK, like a Mag DK DPS, or a DK healer, or have the other tank be a DK. Because missing out on Engulfing Flames and missing out on chains too. Like even though they changed Silver Leash to be chains, it still uses stamina, so you don't want to use it all that often. So yeah, one of the things with the class rep notes that they mentioned was they kind of want to give each class a unique buff. So I don't know. Hopefully they'll make that change so that other classes can, tank harder content, or there's less of a stigma for bringing other classes into harder content as support was. As for your CPs, the change in DPS due to the change in the CP cap, it's not going to be that big of a difference. It'll only be an additional like 1% or so. So I did mention in one of my videos, I did basically look at CP and how it affects your DPS. And so we found that I think it was like it's a noticeable increase in DPS, but the boost from 750 to 780 is not going to be that big. It's going to be, like I said, probably 1% at most, if I had to take a guess here.
A wave-thin elf peers at you from over an imperious hooked nose. Deep darkness circles both his eyes. Disdain etches his face into a sneer.
Ah, you're here. Good. You know me, do you not? Yes, you know me from within. From a memory of a memory of a memory. For I am Tyr Sendilius, god of the elves, god of you. Tell me, what have you done in order to make it this far? How have you failed?
I have stolen, I have lied, I have killed, or done things I'm not proud of, but in order to survive. Ultimately, these choices usually don't affect the end goal. It's not quite as bad as like Fallout 4, but like it changes the dialogue a little bit, and sometimes it can change like how the story progresses. But I'd say maybe in like 70% of cases, like your options, like if I say like any of these options, it'll still result in the same thing happening. Mainly because this is like a pivotal point in the story, basically, as you can imagine, since I'm talking to a god.
Can't you name your misdeeds? Are you afraid to look them head on? Ha! Thus speak the most heinous offenders of us all. But there must be more. You are my champion after all. I saved you from the darkened seas, where you would have been lost and forgotten forevermore. I need to know how badly I've chosen, before we proceed. Who else? Who else but your god would have seen something worth saving in you? So you understand. I must know all there is to know about my chosen. You must tell me everything. But wait, there's an easier way.
Tyr Sendilius steps forward, seizes your arm with surprising strength, and bites a chunk of flesh from your forearm.
So, I should mention this here, but the elves in this game, at least in this world, I should say, they actually gain memories when they eat flesh of somebody else. So Tyr Sendilius is god of elves, so he has elvish blood in him. So by eating my flesh, he actually gains my memories. That's how like elves work in this game. That's kind of a unique perk there.
His face is thoughtful as he chews your flesh, savors it, and slowly swallows it down.
I was wrong about you. I chose well. You are my Godwoken. You will ascend. You will save us all. Let me show you.
Suddenly, a great energy enters the crown of your head and melts downwards, infusing every inch of you with a feeling of great power.
I bless the very water beneath your feet. Now you may wield that power for yourself. A first taste of things to come. For this is only the beginning. With these powers, you will have a choice. You can help our people, or you can dash them to ruin. Greatness doesn't care for class, accomplishment, or rank. It is a bit of kindling cultivated by those with intention. Those who intend to stand close to a spark.
Gotta take you. Go and swap back to Twitch here. Alright, cool.
This I see within you, above all my many children. I hope I am not wrong. I will ask much of you in time, but for now, you have a simple goal. Escape the watch of those who would hinder you. Be free of those who would ensnare you. You are supremely important. More so than any loved one, any companion. Do not forget that.
There are a couple of spelling mistakes here and there. You can see be free of those who would ensnare you, but instead of ensnare you. So it's not perfect. I think Larian Studios actually crowdsourced this game. But they're like one of the, they're not like an indie developer. At least I wouldn't call them an indie developer. But they're they're not like an EA or anything like that. So those little things here and there. But like I said, the voice acting more than makes up for the spelling mistakes, because more often than not, you're not reading, you're more listening to the voice acting instead.
Tisendelius grimaces with disdain.
Listen closely to what I tell you now. The other gods have sought their champions too. If they succeed, our very existence as elves in this great realm may be threatened.
He gestures dismissively over the great battle below, where God assaults God in ceaseless violence.
I can't quite show you guys what the narrative's talking about here.
Wars cause great wars, and great people must follow them into the muck. That is where we find ourselves now, fighting for a place upon a throne of violence. But we mustn't fail. I have seen the very soul of you. I have partaken of your flesh. I have assimilated your being into my own. I believe in you.
Got a new skill, Lust.
Sibyl is pensively tracing a new name on her arm, gilded letters in an ancient alphabet.
So Sibyl is also an elf, so this might be why I have a unique conversation with Sibyl here.
Sibyl. My own name. A little gift from Tisendelius. Leave it to a god to be overly dramatic. Must be a celestial party game. Or maybe he wanted to teach me a lesson. If the latter, he has much to learn.
I actually have to get a link. So you can actually break off your party if you want. So like, I can break myself off, which means I can basically move independently of everybody else. There's actually some pretty deep strategy involved in this game from time to time. There's a lever somewhere. Here it is. actually want to put blessed here somewhere. Question is where. I should probably get rid of this. Oh, I think I actually have to memorize blessed. Is that right? Yeah, I have to. Get rid of ignition and keep peace of mind. Oops. There we go. Now I can use blessed. That's not the right way out. Yeah, seems like the chat has died down. Don't know if you guys just enjoying the gameplay or what have you. I don't know how many of you guys have actually played Divinity at all. Might be thinking about getting it. I'm sure it's going to go on sale potentially when the definitive edition is released. I think I'm actually supposed to go this way.
Up on the ledge before you, a lone lizard woman overlooks the marshes. Her stare is a...
Stand back and keep your hands off your weapons. Convince me you're no magister, or draw one last deep breath.
Her eyes go wide with wonder upon your mentioning of a divinity.
So you notice here that this particular conversation thing has like a prefix, mystic. So there are certain tags you can have as a character. So mystic is actually one of them. There's things like scholar and thief, I think is another one, hero, villain. So those can have different effects on how you interact with NPCs in the game.
No magister could sense the spirit of the goddess. Only a true sorcerer could, blessed with senses greater than our worlds alone. I apologize for this steel-tipped welcome, but lives are at stake. Hold on, I'll let you up.
With one graceful motion, the lizard throws down a tangled mess of vines for you to climb.
Come, ascend to the sanctuary of Amadia. You'll find you're not the only guest here, but the Great Mother provides for all.
Maybe we should fortify this place. Make a stand. No, no, we don't have the time. Think, damn it.
Make sure I don't accidentally steal anything. That would be bad.
His face a tight scowl of frustration.
I don't mind if you guys ask questions. I really don't mind at all. It's kind of why we're doing this stream here. I do apologize that I know I'm it looks weird. I'm ducking in and out. Actually, I have battery actually, so I can probably take it off the charger, put it down on the table next to me.
Every approach blocked. Oh, damn it. What good a...
He glances up. In quick succession, he becomes aware of both your presence and the fact that you're not a familiar face.
Who the blazes are you? A sorcerer, indeed. I should have realized. A seeker can always recognize a sorcerer when they see one. You met Verdus. Oh, then he's as good as dead. We're the seekers he spoke of. We were supposed to free him. Instead, we...
How about Maglar DPS this patch? Maglar DPS is actually doing quite well. So there have been conflicting reports as to whether Maglar DPS actually are outparsing Magsorks. So there is that. So Royo, who is one of the best orcs in PCNA, is still parsing higher on a Magsork than a Magplar, but it might be due to his unfamiliarity with the Magplar. In terms of me, I'm also parsing a little bit higher on Magsaur compared to Magplar, but it is pretty close. So I can actually see like a good Magplar outparsing a good Magsork, especially when you take into consideration raid buffs. The 10% additional crit damage does scale a little bit better because you just have 10% more crit damage when major force is up with Warhorn and stuff. So I can see actually Magplar's doing better than Magsorks. Yeah.
Blasted island behind us.
The young man anxiously fidgets with his curved bow. You've found a matter close to his heart, evidently.
That's easier said than done, I'm afraid. Much easier said. The Magisters have us cornered. They have these weapons called Shriekers. If we try to go against them unprepared, we're dead. We've lost many already. They were sorcerers once, but after whatever perversions the Magisters subjected them to, they're death incarnate. If they can see you, they can kill you, instantly. After we retreated here, our leader, Sir Gareth, set out looking for some ancient weapons that could counter those things. Then we could break the Magister blockade and escape this island.
Do you think they'll do changes on Magnite Blade? Personally, I hope not. I've said this plenty of times, but
Sir Gareth doesn't come back with those
but basically, I don't think nerfing Nightblades is the right way to go. Like keep Nightblades as they are. Like, just don't change anything with Nightblades. Instead, change things with the other classes instead. Like, buff the other classes. I don't think the answer to correcting the Nightblade meta right now is to nerf them. I think the correct way is to buff the other classes or give them some sort of utility that will be useful to a raid group. Or in PvP, introduce something that makes those other classes, as I don't know where Magblades, like Nightblades, stand in PvP. I know they're somewhat good. But yeah, I don't think the solution is to nerf Nightblades, and I hope they don't nerf Nightblades. I think the solution is to buff everybody else instead, to kind of bring a little bit of parity to the other classes. My DPS characters from top to bottom, in terms of DPS, would be, so this is assuming like perfect rotation, like good raid buffs, I'm not dying or anything like that. It'd be Stamblade, followed by probably Stamsork. Those two are usually, like, if I have to play Stam DPS, it's one of those two. And then Magnite Blade. And then probably, let's say after Magnite Blade, probably be Magicka Warden if I have the bear. Despite Magicka Wardens being the lowest DPS, like in experienced hands, Mag Wardens with the bears is actually quite strong. And then probably after Warden would be probably Stam DK. No, Mag DK. It'd be Mag DK after Magicka Warden, and Stam DK, Magplar, Magsork, Magplar, Stamplar, and then Stam Warden. That'd probably be that order there. So it'd be Stamblade, Stamsork, Magnite Blade, Mag Warden, Mag DK, Stam DK, Magsork, Magplar, Stamplar, Stamina Warden. I don't really play Stamplar, Stamina Warden too often, so that's why they're down there. The combat is turn-based in this game.
Short supply in this place.
So yeah, the combat's turn-based, but the actual, like, if you're not in combat, it's not turn-based. It's more open world, kind of explore as you would like.
Hold up, I've got to take care of some business.
So okay, so this is kind of what I mean with the origin stories. So Beast here. So normally, if Beast wasn't in my party, I'd be able to go straight into conversation. But because this character is apparently important to Beast's past, Beast, this basically continues Beast's storyline, so to speak.
Friend, how does life find you?
Well, I'll be, if it ain't the beast of the sea. Stories of your beard alone fly across Riverland like flocks of crows. Fair a bit more inland than you'd prefer, yeah?
Ain't I know it, ain't I know it.
Beast claps him on the back and chuckles heartily. If they hadn't met just a moment ago, you might think the dwarves lifelong friends.
I don't want to intrude, seeing as how you got your own trials and travails, but I don't suppose you've been to Reaper's Coast of late. Maybe heard of a fella named, what was it? Lohar?
Lohar? Yeah, I know of the guy, from back when I was looking for fishing work out in Driftwood. He's, how shall I say, an entrepreneur. Still out there a bit. Had his stubby fingers and a lot of pies, if you get my meaning.
Sounds like a man I'd buy 2 flagons of mead for. One for drinking and one for toasting. I got something for him. I'll tell him you sent your regards, Mr.
It's Duggan, it is. Oh, and this here's Leah. You gotta be sick of that collar. Leah, you can get it fixed up, yeah?
Sure thing.
Bet you're glad to be rid of it. Amazing to meet the beast in flesh. Let's see if we can get you back to sea. Fighting the good fight, yeah? Your lungs have got to be starved for the salt air.
Yeah, like I said, Magden.
Beast's chortles and not.
So I finally got my source collars removed, so I can actually equip amulets now. But so while I'm doing that, yes, so Mag Wardens kind of have a reputation of being. They kind of have a reputation of being bad DPS, but that's not necessarily the case. Like I said, Magden is probably second when it comes to my strongest magic at DPS. And that's partly because of my experience with it. Of course, this is also with the stipulation that I have to use the bear. Obviously, without the bear, then my DPS drops by a tremendous amount, like I mentioned earlier. But if I can use the bear, my Magical Warden is pretty strong. So you'll see eventually when I release the video for Magical Wardens, but it does very well when you compare it to other Magical DPS classes. So like everyone who says Magical Warden sucks, they just, I don't want to say they're bad, but they don't have the same level of understanding that like Style Anima does or that I do behind the class. All right, so now everyone's got their amulets. So here.
Before you stands a figure, her body wreathed in cloth. All you can see of her eyes are 2 dark holes in an ornate...
Armadia's blessings, child. I have not seen this face in our sanctuary before. Pray, I know this feeling all too well. But until you are ready for what comes next, you may... I am Gratiana, priestess of Armadia. It is a privilege to welcome you to her sanctuary from Brachus's vile swamp.
She stops dead as you pull the jar out of your backpack. Her voice trembles as she's...
You entered the vault. Please, give that to me. Give it to me now. It matters not. All that matters is that you give it to me. No. Stop! Wait!
She reaches up and tears off her mask, revealing a wet skull, stained by centuries. You stare into the empty eye sockets of the undead creature before you.
I don't think this game is that bad. Of course, just like any other game, people have their own preferences. So, I mean, I can certainly go play ESO again. The thing is, like, I don't know what I do on ESO. Like, I'd probably just do VMA. But I don't know if that is something you want me to do. Because I don't have any raids scheduled until Sunday, so tomorrow afternoon. I don't really have anything else to do. Like, I don't know if people are on to do the new dungeons or not. So I'd certainly jump on ESO if I can find people to do the new dungeons with. Actually, let me check Discord. Maybe somebody asked if they wanted to do the new dungeons or not. Let's see here. Yeah, nobody wants to do dungeons here. Let me see here. Yeah, the thing is, like, it's like mid-afternoon, stateside, and all of my friends are in the States. So it's hard to, while I'm in Denmark, to like find people to do dungeons around this time. So
she reaches greedily for the jar, tearing the cap off. You see a green glowing light emerge from the jar, enveloping.
but like I said, if people want me to do ESO, I can probably try to go for Flawless Conqueror. I am hesitant to do a Flawless Conqueror attempt on my laptop, just because the laptop does get hot, and I don't have all my add-ons. The key placement is obviously different from my normal keyboard, so. But if people would prefer me to play ESO, do a Flawless Conqueror attempt, I'd do that. Discord with the Mag pledge, even if let me check actually. Sometimes it's this one here, toxic rating environments. Let me see if I can. Okay, yeah. So okay, so I can invite people. I can create a invite link and probably put that on the community tab, or actually I can probably put it onto the live chat right now. So yeah, so this Discord toxic rating environment is not actually all that toxic. This is a Discord for basically discussing endgame stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of memes going on, things like that. But there's usually some good information here. Like if you ask questions, there will usually be somebody who will be able to answer it for you. And there's plenty of people, endgame people here, who like do a bunch of testing and actually post their results on here fairly often. So you see here, Lyco's on here. If you guys don't know who Lyco is, he's DPS for Hodor, who, as far as I know, is like really good DPS on all the classes. Style Anima, this is her, Burb ×7. Nephis is here. He used to be a tank. I want to say he was a tank for MC at some point. Now he raid leads for Semp, Eternal Way, and I think he's on Mundus. This is Leofa. Best Gesture Ideas is Leofa. Probably one of the best tanks that I've seen. Fio, I think she still heals for MC. I'm not sure if she heals for MC. I know she heals for Night Fighters, or DPS for Night Fighters. So there's a lot of people here. There's a couple of people from let's see. So there's Hellfire Dominion here is HD. Semp Eternal Way, obviously. SNG, Solomon Grimora, Hodor, Imperio, Mayflower, Mechanically Challenge, Magical Society, Night Fighters. There's a bunch of people here who are all endgame players, and from all the consoles too. It's not just PC centric. So like RNW's Rough Nightwood, which is from Xbox, I want to say. So they just recently moved over to PC, but they used to be an Xbox guild. So plenty of really good people to ask stuff on. So I will go ahead and put this onto the stream chat so you guys can join it. Current live streams. RNW. Right, let's turn that off so I don't have any sort of weird echo. All right. So I just put the Discord link down in the chat section. Yeah, so I play on the US server exclusively. I do have one character on the EU server, it was level 5. And I just made it just for shits and giggles because I think the US server was dead one night, and we were just like, let's just go onto EU and goof off on like the starter zones. So I do have an EU character, and just don't play it at all. DPS you should be doing in a pub. It's hard to say, like in a pub group. Like it depends on the group. Yeah, like I said, it depends on group, dungeon, and class. But in general, what I would consider to be good DPS. Let me actually get out of this because otherwise you're going to get that weird, this weird kind of mirror effect going on here. But yeah, in general, I would say good DPS would be anything above 20k. If you're doing 20k in a pub group, that's good. That's really good.
I suppose you deserve.
anything above like 30k is what I would consider above average. I'm trying to find the right word because like I've already described good being above 20k in a pub group. If you can do above 30k in a pub group, that is great, I guess. I know that's not a very good descriptive word, but great would be the next best thing. And if you can pull like 40k and above in a pub group, then I think you'd fall within the top 1% of DPS players, I'd say, with that. With like if you're pulling 40k plus in a pub group. Yeah, if you're in an organized raid group, obviously the numbers are going to be a little bit different. So like for an organized raid group, like in a 12-man trial where you have like healers and tanks who are knowing what they're doing and you have all the debuffs and stuff, decent DPS would be like 25k. Like I would call that passable for vet trials, 25k. Good DPS would be 30k, great DPS would be like 35k, 40k up would be like, or I don't know, actually take that back. 25k would be decent, so like that's like what I would consider to be like bare minimum. 30k would be good. 40k would be great, and then 50k and up is what you want to shoot for to be considered like super good, I'd say. Like I know people, obviously these like holder people or mechanic challenge people who are like pulling like pulling these like 70, 80k numbers. But if you can pull 50k and above in a raid parse in like a raid scenario, I consider you to be very, very good DPS.
He needed me, and I needed him. As his strength grew, so too did mine. There is nothing you cannot do when you sit on the lap of a powerful king. And I did it all. But power changes a man, as he changes his nation. Brachus grew paranoid, angry, murderous.
8 p.m. Yeah, it's 10 p.m. here, so that would be, yeah, that would be what? That'd be 10 minus 6, 4 p.m. over at the States, East Coast, I think. Right? Yeah, right, yeah.
Amadia, forgive me. I gave him more and more, trying to win him back to me. I offered him the source of whole villages. The lands outside were once green and beautiful, until I came, until I turned them over to him. Now all's poison, and the dead are restless. Armadia is merciful in her love. I found this shrine while hunting a band of wizards. I found the goddess weeping for her children, and I wept too.
She pauses for a moment. If she had eyes, you're sure.
Through Armadia, I saw my sins, and I could bear it no longer. I threw myself from the cliff at the entrance. I tried to rid the world of my evil. But he brought me back from the Hall of Echoes, locked my soul away, and demanded my obedience, even in death. Only when 2 source hunters ended his curse was I free. Since then, I have returned here, and...
She drops the now empty soul jar to the ground, smashing it to pieces with her...
You have my thanks, sister.
She starts to speak.
Thank you. I can't... I've never known such kindness.
Forward. And the question is, what do I want? Get some more sugar shoes. I think Sabille needs more new shoes. There we go. So one unique thing with this game is that you can actually trade with everybody in the game here. So like, and some characters have like unique items you can take here. So like this Astartes tears, for instance, you can only buy it from there, from this person. So it's really useful to basically trade everything. Trade with everybody you see, I should say. It's pretty important. Sometimes you'll find some really good items, but also skill books. So this is pretty important. actually.
Gareth. He set off to find the soul-forged weapons of Brack. North of here, you'll find the ruins of Brachus's source armor. Nothing in this land can counter the Shrieker's power like those weapons. Without them, walk ever.
The birds are asleep. The moon is in the sky.
Check my.
The seven watch o'er us. You're safe in bed. So close your sweet eyes.
So Sabine is 1. Third. Okay, so I have 2. I think 1's from here, so I have 1 base. Yeah, you can see all these skills here.
Smoke and screams.
2.
Echoes of death.
Whoops.
My eternal thanks, friend. This is a debt I can never repay.
What do I want? That is agnostic.
Wished bonny barn, now don't you cry. The birds are asleep, the moon's in the sky.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what additional stuff I want.
So close your sweet eyes and rest your wee head.
This ring would be good because restoration, obviously healing is good, but it does cost almost 1,000 gold, which is about half of what I have. I do need some more skill books though.
Smoke and screams. Echoes of death.
Let's see.
Please come back.
Gold value. So if you donate stuff to people, that improves their oh shoot.
Gareth, north of nothing in this land. Walk ever.
I need to be with the right character. Wait, which one of my characters has bartering?
You're safe in bed. So close your sweet eyes.
Please,
Rest
Amar.
Okay, it's if
And protect your humble servant.
so one weird thing with the game is
Oh, most blessed child. Pray, what may I do for you? Go in.
I want to be Ifan.
Oh, Gareth. He set off
There we
to
go.
find the soul-forged weapons of Black.
So I actually have to donate while it is on this character.
But I cannot stop you.
First, since Ifan is the one with all of my bartering stuff. There we go. So this drops cost of these down by a decent amount, so I can buy them there. Then I do want blinding radiance. Blinding radiance is quite a nice move to have. Unfortunately, Aerotherge doesn't have that many good moves. Discharge. Shocking touches, melee, don't necessarily want that. That costs 3 action points, right? Yeah. That's character agnostic. I do want teleportation. It's something that's definitely need to have.
Wished bonny barn, now don't you cry. The birds are asleep.
I do have some junk I need to sell. Usually try to save like armor and weapons to donate, so that way I can get better prices for goods. Except for like these obviously low level stuff, which aren't worth that much. So yeah. This. Get all the books. Once you're done with the books, you don't need them anymore. You can sell them for like 1 gold each. Need a shovel. Hopefully you'll be able to see why you need a shovel in a second.
Smoke and screams. Echoes of death.
Come in. Get rid of this. That one's useless. not running daggers, but again, I do want to save them to donate at some point.
North of nothing in this walk
Wished bonny bairn, now don't you cry. The birds are asleep, the moon's in the sky. The seven watch o'er us, you're safe in bed. So close your sweet eyes,
Here. It's under magical.
Mother of magic, hear my prayer.
I think I can learn this. No, I need Pyrotechnic 2, which I'm not at yet.
I pray that you
I mean, if people, yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier, if people want me to swap the ESO, I can certainly swap the ESO. I'll just have to, I do want to make a couple of changes to, obviously, to the stream information if I do that. Oh, do I have 2? I do have 2, okay. And then somebody else needs to be level 2 there in order to learn it, which is fine. Okay, let's look up skills now. Gotta figure out which one I want to give up for certain things. Want to keep Rain. Rain's pretty useful. No Strike's not quite as useful, plus it's expensive. So Blinding Radiance. Then yeah, you don't know that many skills, that's fine.
The birds are asleep, the moon's in the sky.
Where's the dude?
A grim-faced man sifts through a pile of badly damaged weapons, salvaging the repairable, ditching the broken. He picks up a rapier, the blade nicked and splintered, the hilt twisted.
Alright, let's see if there's anything here I could use. I think I'm on level 1 summoning right now, yeah. This is definitely a skill I want to learn at some point for this character. National Bull's actually not a bad skill to pick up. Okay.
A grim-faced man sifts through a pile of badly damaged weapons, salvaging the repairable, ditching the broken. He picks up a rapier, the blade nicked and splintered, the hilt twisted.
All the daggers I can give away. See here, Evan has unique dialogue with this character here. Sometimes, like, you'll have unique character-specific dialogue, which sometimes helps the story, sometimes doesn't, sometimes shoehorns you into one thing if you have a character in your party. So, kind of gotta pick and choose.
He holds the damaged blade up to the light.
This was Halon's blade. It was his first, it was also his last. He didn't intend to die here, but die here he did. He was an ordinary soul with an extraordinary heart, Halon, and he died for what he believed.
The point breaks away, leaving a jagged edge. The sword is shorter now, but it'll do more damage.
Oh, my screen disappeared here. There we go.
Who are you?
He realizes, to his surprise, that he holds the weapon in his hand, ready for battle. He smiles to himself, tucks the weapon away, and gets back to work. He works fast, checking weapons to see if
the blade is thirsty. Now, what can I do you for? Nice doing business with you.
Alright, that's actually...
I had better wares to offer.
Let's buy some things. A lot of your gold in this game goes towards buying skill books, but once you buy them, you don't need to keep him around anymore. I actually think I have a necromancer in my party. Unless... Okay, Beast has one necromancer, but I'm not sure if he... I don't know if I want to use him as a necromancer, because he's a melee dude. He uses two-handed stuff. No, it's not going to be very useful, because a lot of this stuff scales from intelligence, not strength. Okay, I need Dimensional Bolt, and so I can't really use anything else right now. Just keep it there. I do have to send this to main character. And again, I don't really have enough memory, I think, to learn it. Yeah, I have to give up something else. After a while, you'll learn that you gotta invest in your memory points if you want to have like a big amount of skills to use in battle.
He said his name. You're alive! Wasn't sure you would be. Samadel, this is the one I told you about.
Pyrotechnics, great. Sabiel needs to know a couple more moves as well.
The disheveled lizard eyes you with hope.
Han tells me you helped him out of Fort Joy. For that, you have my thanks.
We helped each other.
Can I ask if... Did you happen to meet a man named
He'll be...
He has to, indeed. You're kind to offer. But you'd best talk to Gareth Squire, Exeter. Now, Han.
Catch you later, Skipper.
Alright, swap the in so the higher bartering.
Samadel's focus and attention is wholeheartedly devoted to tending Han's leg.
Get rid of
You still with us?
this. I think I have a couple of daggers here I can get rid of.
Mateys, let me change your dressing.
Swear. See to the others.
Spiel.
You still with us?
I wonder what happened if I...
Mateys, let me change your dressing.
You healed me. How did you... Oh, never mind. I don't care how. I only care that today won't be my last. I don't remember much. I barely had time to realize the Magisters were attacking before I was injured. Those Magisters are gonna pay. If my mother were here, she'd box my ears for not being able to thank you properly. Though I reckon that wallop... Thank you.
He owes you his life. You have my thanks.
Should also probably heal you too.
In an instant, my wounds have all but vanished. I didn't think. I was certain I wouldn't. Thank you. The Magister flagship. It has ballastay that tore our ship into kindling. A shard from our own mast pierced my... I'm lucky the others managed to haul me all the way here. Especially...
He shudders at the memory.
They turn the living into shriekers. Crucified wretches that unleash pure destruction on anyone who tries to pass. I wish I had a fitting way to thank the pub.
Make sure all of them cheat death today.
Leave me be. What?
Guess I can heal all of them and get rewards.
We are fortunate indeed to have you.
You've healed us. All of us.
I owe you a debt. We all do. The Magisters attacked our camp back at the harbour. I caught one of their arrows right in my side.
He lands a comradely slap on your back.
Don't you doubt it. This old war...
I actually don't think I healed them on my first playthrough. I think I just kind of left them. I don't think I actually knew the restoration. I don't think I knew restoration actually on my first playthrough on any of my characters. I wasn't that good on my first run through, obviously. I had to take some time to learn. This game, even though it's a single player game, it still kind of has a following that kind of makes builds, basically. They kind of keep good track of, you know, what's the best way to use a certain character or something like that. I don't think I can do this. Yeah, polymorph and parakinetic. So Sabeel would be the best person to see. Or maybe I can. No, maybe I'll use learn. I'll learn it later. Alright. Looks like the chat's died down. I'm not sure if you guys are watching the stream or not. Like I said, I can't check to see how many people are watching right now. Might swap back to ESO. I'm not sure. Like I said, there's not much that I can do on ESO right now. That's why I'm not playing it. Let's try. Okay, so I have to go up here. I'm gonna go north. Let's go to Twitch stream. I think what's happening actually is every time I open and close the Twitch stream, I actually can't see what the chat's going if I don't have it selected. Hold on. Oh, damn it. Freaking pigs.
Yes.
The menacing skeletal guardian looks at you wearily, then yawns.
So you dare defy the will of Brachus Rex, prepare to die, and so on and so forth. Let's get this over with. Why wouldn't I be? Every so often, some interloper goes and undoes one of Brachus Rex's curses, and I must murder the poor sod. I hope this brings the discussion to an end. I don't like being roused from slumber, only to be greeted by such banality. It is not my place to question Brachus Rex's will. I am to execute those who defy his legacy. Besides, there are far worse fates Brachus Rex could have visited upon you. This island itself is proof enough of that, I dare say.
She moans impatiently and taps her bony foot.
Brachus Rex concocted all manner of devices to use against his foes. I don't expect that all of them remain where he left them. Now, let's get down to business. All this talking exhausts me.
Is it just turn? Yeah, you're level 5. That should be pretty easy.
I yield to none.
Let's get rid of some of the magic armor. Get rid of the fire. Yeah, so this fight's gonna be pretty easy because it's, if you think about it, it's 4 level 6s against a level 5, so should be pretty straightforward. There you go. Yeah, I didn't expect that to be that hard. One-handed. None of my characters using one-handed in this playthrough. And I leveled up. Okay. Alright, I should do polymorph here so I can learn that one skill. Also give me an extra attribute point to play around with. So, yeah. So this is what I mean with memory. This is basically, if you want to know more skills, then you have to invest more in memory, but also investing into memory means you're not investing into these other important things as well. Let's do that. Let's go back at some point. What's that at 2? Oops. I think if I do this, yeah, that'll boost my damage with warfare. Definitely need to put more into Constitution. I don't think he needs memory right now. He needs more Constitution is what he needs. Over to Seville. Need to have level 2, a third. Teleportation, definitely need memory as a mage. A little more Constitution. Beast. So yeah, Beast is my melee dude. He'll also be my leadership person. So you should have someone with leadership, just for the additional dodge and resistances. Ideally, you actually have 2 people with leadership, because I don't think leadership actually affects the person who has the skill. One memory, why not? And back to main character. And I'm gonna put 1 into intelligence. Here we go. Now I have to freaking run through and cure all of these pigs here. Now I think all my characters know Blessed at this point. Yeah, they all do. I just need to find another source pool.
The air out here's a damn sight better than in Fort Joy, eh?
If Anne nods and surveys.
So the thing with bless is if you bless anything, it ends up healing you, and I think it damages undead. I don't remember if it deals damage to all enemies or just undead, but blessed is actually can be quite useful to know. So there's still one more pig, but I still need to have kind of another like source puddle somewhere for me to absorb. The kind of glowy stuff that's on the ground, like that gunk thing, that's source. So source is it's kind of similar to magic. Like I said, it's a little bit similar to magic. It's basically like the magical system in the game, but it has like a physical component as well. Like you absorb source in order to use source magic. I just have to find another source puddle, because there's still that one pig that I could hear squealing. But I don't see any other source puddles. Yeah, I don't see any other sources of source. Okay, this is where I was in combat at some point. Yeah, I don't see any other source puddles, but there should be one more. That's not like Larian Studios to kind of like do something like this. I need to find this other source puddle, but I can't seem to find it. Maybe over here somewhere? Doesn't look like it. Whole party gets up here first. Ooh, that looks like a bad thing. Let me. Yep, that is a nasty thing. It's a not so good thing. I want to kill it. Should kill it. Okay, so apparently it kind of maybe teleported. I want to teleport it down here next to these barrels. It's too far away. Damn it. Go a little bit closer. Let me wait for my timer to run out on the cooldown to run out on my incarnate summons first. Probably can't see me is probably what it is. Can I? Nope, still too far. So, yeah, you can't see me. Which is, oh, that's weird. It's called, okay, so like when you're sneaking like this, the game kind of puts in these red indicators that will tell you where it's safe to sneak and where it's not. So like the not shaded in red is okay to sneak, but like this dark red stuff here, that means that he can see me. But it's weird because like he can see me according to the sneaking thing, but he's not like saying anything. So maybe I just have to attack him. Let me use this. This will hit him, but I don't want to hit the barrels. Why do you have to be so far away? I want to teleport you down there so I can get you next to the barrels. Yeah, he's just barely out of reach. Although I could. I don't know if I teleport the barrel. Teleportation normally deals damage, so I could actually teleport the barrel up there. instead of teleporting it to the barrel. Why don't we do that? Yeah, let's teleport the barrel up there, because that'll definitely start combat. Here. There you go. I actually have to get rid of some of these places with skill. Yeah, that is one consideration with the spell sim. You get the 2% additional max magicka, which is always useful. I don't think there's no elemental skills here at all. So I'll just dump you down there. Let's see if we can get rid of anybody's magic armor. See, like these melee guys, I'm not oh wait, there's some vines here. This melee would have to probably go. It's probably gonna go up that vines. I still want to. Then do. That's the only elemental source, so we'll do that. Farsight Confusion. Let me see if he's sleeping. Okay. This guy's sleeping, so I don't want to hit him, because then he'll actually wake up and actually do stuff. Don't want that to happen. So I'll hit you instead. And I'll give you a smack. Good measure. So yeah, as you can see here, having the high ground is actually quite important. Or I should say, it is definitely advantageous to be on the high ground. The thing is, I already have oil there, so I don't really need oil there again. If I hit him, he's going to wake up, and I don't want him to do that, so... Actually, I'm going to nail him. Can I hit you? No. Oh, I forgot the beast is I forgot he's melee. What do I want to do? I don't think Battle Stomp will hit down there. Oh, it will hit down there. Just wanna make sure you don't hit my ally. Yeah. No, you're knocked down. I don't think I can charge at him though. Yeah, he's not the same level. But I can charge to you instead. Yeah, so familiars can actually, some summons, not all summons, but some summons are able to climb vines and stuff. You're on fire, which means you'll catch on fire too. And there's still no status effects anywhere. There's no mage. I want to target the mage. There we go. Somehow I missed, even though it was knocked down. Ugh. Game can be kind of stupid sometimes with this kind of stuff. I wonder if I'm close enough for it. There we go. Well, okay, so the thing with Channel Focus is it's not just the additional magic regen you're getting, it's also the Major Ward, Major Resolve that you're getting. So me personally, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't replace Channel Focus, but it's up to you whether you feel like you need the additional Major Ward, Major Resolve. Like, it's very nice to have. Like, so I wouldn't necessarily get rid of it. Nah, you're good enough. And, start getting rid of you. Oh, too far. Damn it. Take this. Yeah, it's resist spend magic armor. You still have your full magic armor. Damn it. It might. It'll definitely be DPS loss. I'm not saying it won't be. But it's kind of up to you how you want to deal with that. Personally, I think it's worth. I think giving up purifying is not going to be the worst thing in the world. I would agree there are probably better options to get rid of. But like I said, with Channel Focus, you're also getting the Major Ward, Major Resolve, which you might not necessarily want to give up, because it is a pretty nice buff to have. So the resistance buff is pretty important in a lot of content, just for the just because the less damage you have to take, the better off you are, right? So should be able to climb these vines. There we go. Still have 1 AP. Let's use up the last AP over here. That's right. So, that's why I need more memory slots for Seville. Not Seville. I mean character. No paths interrupted. So, oh no, it's not. A little bit careful with it. This might kill the Void Woken here. Nope. She will die next turn. Oh, how is that not a attack of opportunity? It's interesting that it says paths interrupted, but it's not. Let me see here. No, you're gonna die from the fire damage, so I'll just port you up here, so that way Beast can smack you around a little bit. You might as well just do this. Okay, no point in moving you. I can finish off you. Yeah, the health is without the Evan buff. So with the Evan buff, you would be sitting at much higher health. You'd be sitting at around 17.5k. If you use my build with the 16.3k health. So yeah, my builds are without any sort of like group buffs or anything like that. This. And I have ignition. Not that it matters.
In the battle's aftermath, you suddenly realize the Void Woken called out your name.
Next time we should ask how it knows us before stomping it to slime.
Yeah, all of my all of my builds are without Evan buff. So if you add about like 1.3, 1.4k health, that's actually how much health you would have with the Evan buff, because it's the Evan buff count is calculated before taking into account passives, so CPs and stuff do affect Evan buff.
Voices can't hurt us. Rally round. We've strength in numbers.
The Void plays tricks. I pay them no heed.
Let's see if there are any sort of is 15 without Evan is enough. It's up to you what kind of content you want to clear, as well as how comfortable you are with the content in the game. So, like, for example, like if you're doing something like, let's say VAA, and you really know, like, you know the trial, like you know your trial like the back of your hand. And by all means, you can 15k health without Evan is fine. But if you're playing with like pugs, or if you're doing more aggression style run, or if it's something like Maw or Hoff, or basically just like harder content that you might not necessarily be as experienced in, then 16k without Evan is probably the minimum that I would say you would need. So that's just my opinion on health. I know plenty of people who just say, just use Witch and use all Max Magicka. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like a one-shot's going to be a one-shot no matter what. And then other people do like to have that extra bit of padding with health, so they do have that extra health in chat. I fall in the latter camp, but I know people, I run with people who fall into the former camp where it's just like, I'm just going to run Clockwork Scissors Fillet and not worry too much about my health because I got shields. And Evan brings me up to about 16.5. And to me, it's kind of like, if you want to do it, fine. You're missing about 1k health. But, I mean, if you feel like you have the chop to survive, then there's no reason why you shouldn't. Yeah, it's all going to end up being personal preference. So yeah, that's the short of it here. Let's get some healing going. Yeah. All right. I think it is about time for me to sign off. It is about 11 p.m., which means I should probably think about getting to bed. Plus, the stream is sort of dying down a little bit. I will definitely be playing ESO again. The goal is to have a raid tomorrow afternoon. Right now we're missing 2 people, so it might not happen. My fingers crossed that we'll get some more people to sign up. But that's the plan for tomorrow, is to have a raid going on in the afternoon. So hopefully we'll be able to get that happening. But if not, then we'll see about streaming ESO again, maybe like midweek next week sometime. I work during the day, so I could go to the university, do research and stuff. So it's a little bit challenging for me because it's basically like I go in at 9:30, come back around like 5:30, 6. I make dinner, and at that point, I usually try to record a video. So I might try to stream something, maybe like a VMA False Conqueror attempt. Unfortunately, I'm not in an opportune time to raid necessarily, and I know like it's midday, like in the middle of the week for a lot of people. But it is like still the summer, so hopefully those of you guys who are in school are still off of school, so hopefully I'll be able to get that going. But that's kind of the idea for me. So that'll be it for tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. I know this is not ESO, and I know some people find this sort of content boring, but I really enjoy Divinity. I think it's a great RPG. If you love RPGs, I highly recommend Divinity Original Sin. Try to pick it up when it's on sale. To me, I think it's still worth the full price of the game. And if you pick it up before the Definitive Edition is released, you also get the Definitive Edition tacked onto it. So I'm sure it'll go on sale before the Definitive Edition is released. But definitely pick up Divinity Original Sin 2 if you are into this sort of like Diablo-style RPG. I found it to be a lot of fun. And with the Definitive Edition coming out, the second half of the game, the storyline and everything becomes a lot better. There have been a lot of reports saying they've re-recorded basically all the second half of the game. So I'm really looking forward to playing that in my spare time when I'm not raiding, because I do need, some off time to kind of relax. I can't just be raiding every single day. So thanks for watching, guys. I do again want to big thank you to everybody who subscribes and support my content. I did reach 3,000 subscribers, so I'm quite pleased with that. I didn't think I'd be able to reach that milestone. So thanks again for all your support. I hope that my content is still good, even though I'm streaming from a laptop from halfway across the world for a lot of you guys. So yeah, I will keep trying to make sure the content is still good quality and it's still relevant information. But I already covered a lot of stuff in the past, so I'm going to try to revisit some of those. And again, build videos are going to be coming out every day. It's going to be one a day for the next week and a half or so. And then probably by the time the last build video is released, I'll be back in the States. And school will be starting again. So once school starts, I'll have to see what my schedule looks like and see what streaming is. But I'll probably still be able to stream the typical Monday, Thursday night raids with Mayflower. But for everything else, we'll have to kind of see where my schedule falls. Well, I'm a PhD student, which does mean my time is becoming more valuable to me. So again, we'll have to see. So that was a pretty long outro, but yeah, that's just the way it is. So thanks guys for watching. Again, big thanks to everybody who supported me so far, and I hope my content is still at the quality that you guys expect it to be at. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Here in here.